Welcome everybody to the Sharpshooters Wrestling Podcast. I am Eric.
I'm Lord Manny Hayes.
And I'm Marcus the Grand Finale. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus, Lord.
Okay.
I'm speechless. I mean, maybe I should just quit so this can always be just the Manny and Marcus show, because I don't know how I feel about you singing and putting the name of Jesus into our little feed that we've started right now, Marcus. We don't talk about religion on this show.
Yeah, we might lose people now.
Yeah, I mean,
No, but I felt like in the new Manny and Marcus show, which you can catch every Tuesday and Thursday live.
Check that plug. The
Pacific
plug.
time.
Marcus in with the plug.
okay, but
like
let me
incorporate the church like the president does.
Let me
And
come in
pure
with the hate, though.
propaganda.
We don't know how long that Tuesday and Thursday is going to last because since the pandemic's in and Marcus going back to work, so we don't know what day the Marcus and Manny show will be.
Oh, it's going to be on.
Friday dissension now, are we, Eric?
I will be damned. I will be damned. I would be behooved if that my personal paycheck, if money get in the way of my passion, which is the Marcus and Manny show.
Shout out to
Every
Grudge Smurf
Thursday.
in the chat. The stadium that Marcus is, that was inside of the MGM Grand Arena when we went and saw Double or Nothing for AEW, I think. I don't know what that is.
Actually, no, it's not.
Are you
So,
still in other people's images, Marcus?
This is someone else's image. Now, the reason this is in the background, and the only reason people know it's a different image because you asked the question. The only reason this is not my image is because one day I was in an argument with an AEW fan.
Yeah.
And I had the picture of an empty arena and I threw it in his face.
I just want to point out, Marcus, you might want to take an image that is not your image down and an image that you just admit that's not your image because it could get our show taken down because we don't own the rights.
No.
Yes.
No one ever does that.
YouTube is very strict about copyright. That's why people don't play music.
No one knows who image this is, though. This could be anybody's image.
Well, just let you guys know,
Blank page.
if nobody sees this episode, it's Marcus's
This
fault.
is my image.
This
is my personal image when I was at AEW Dynamite.
This is Marcus' version of self-sabotage to try to make the Marcus and Manny show bigger than the Sharpshooters Wrestling Podcast. That's all this is. That's all this is.
Hey, I don't like bragging about a lot of things, but I feel like me and Manny drew on Tuesday. We have currently over 60 views.
What?
The most that DSPN has ever had in one viewing. And that's in 2 episodes, baby. We did it.
Okay.
We did it. We made it.
What you
We
want?
made it.
You want a cookie?
I'm just saying
You want
that
a
I think we
cookie?
need to change executive producers. I would like a cookie though. But we should change
I like how you were making a point, and then you completely got distracted by a cookie.
You can't distract the fat man with some cake or some cookie or something like that. I'm just saying, shout out to you guys. It's a good thing you guys are bringing more recognition to the brand, and that's all we can ask for in this situation. And it has even made me want to step my game up. That's why we had a 10-minute countdown clock, which next week will probably be a 5-minute countdown clock, just to have people participate.
We need to do the first ever Sharpshooters podcast Royal Rumble in which we add somebody every 2 minutes. They give a comment. They come in hot. They say they hot take. And then if they say something stupid, we throw them out.
With that being said, since Marcus brought up throwing somebody out, one of the things of the stories that came across the news wave in the wrestling world is that Paul Heyman, who was producing Monday Night Raw, has been tossed out of that role and has been replaced by Brother Love himself, Bruce Pritchard. Now, many people might say, this is not a real big deal because, the top changes all the time, but it is a big deal. If you've been enjoying the Monday Night Raw product with the new stars being pushed, such as Apollo Crews, Angel Garza, Andrade, Drew McIntyre, that was because of Paul Heyman. Also, Paul Heyman tried to push Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, but Vince said no. And I guess at this point, Paul Heyman will be focusing on being an on-air talent instead of being a backstage talent. No one really knows what that means. But Marcus, is this doom and gloom for Monday Night Raw with Bruce Pritchard being in charge once again?
One, an on-air talent. He's going to be, Brock's manager. That's his on-air gimmick, and I don't think he's managing anybody else. And two, I was actually enjoying Monday Night Raw. I thought it had a good rhythm going. I thought they were pushing the right people. It was very progressive. And then Raw is the most, as I said, I think on this show a million times, the most difficult wrestling show, but maybe even the most difficult show to produce. It is 3 hours of trying to fill people with content that is fresh and innovative. And lately, I was enjoying it. I was enjoying Apollo's push for the United States title, Drew McIntyre as champion, the resurgence of MVP, and now aligning him with Bobby Lashley. Hell, even the Rusev and Lana, I think, had something to do with Paul Heyman at the time. So I'm really disappointed by the change, and I think Pritchard's been running SmackDown, and SmackDown has been tough to get to, except for when it's involving Jeff Hardy throwing a pistol at somebody. I'm just saying.
With that being said, now I'm going to jump to Lord Manny Hayes. I mean, Aleister Black was another name that was being pushed. Are you concerned that Vince is once again messing with something just because he doesn't know what the live audience is reacting to because there's no live audience?
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. It's because the NXT the NXT crowd, the paid crowd, is basically doing what they're told to do. It's like, you guys cheer for this guy, you guys cheer for this guy, you guys boo these people, and it's the change in this is all the fact that Paul Heyman was looking at long-term booking, where Aleister Black, you build him up, he's one of your future stars. Apollo Crews, you build him up, he's one of your future stars. The fact that they're now reverting back to this short-term thinking to boost the ratings is going to affect so much talent that for a lot of them, I'd be worrying about their jobs.
I mean, that's the thing that I really don't understand, where it becomes such a short-sighted situation, because yes, you can tell that Paul Heyman was booking for the long term. This short-term mindset has never been successful for WWE. I don't even know what you guys are laughing at.
Sorry, Manny stuff fell over.
Oh. I just think that at
Michael Jordan fell.
I mean, at this point, it's like, we need new stars. We can't keep bringing back these old dogs and expect things to change. Yes, the numbers spike for a little bit, but at the end of the day, those people who come for that spike won't stay for the whole entire ride. And
can I be devil's advocate? Oh, you're still talking.
What happened?
No, go. You still have more.
No, I had nothing else. You asked me a question. I was trying to respond to your question.
No, I said, can I be devil's advocate?
Go ahead. Be the advocate.
Be devil's Applegate.
Okay.
Applegate.
Be who you need to be. Apple pie, my brother.
In Vince's defense on this one, though, ratings have been declining every week. I know it's the pandemic. I know they haven't had a crowd and everything, but the ratings for Raw has been, subpar. And then, some people haven't enjoyed Raw. I don't know who those people are, but I've read in forums that some people haven't been enjoying Raw, whoever it was. But do you feel like a change has to be made? Like, if a team is losing all the time, you want to fire the coach, right? Except for Luke Walton, who seems to can't get fired from the Lakers that year. I don't know. He should have been fired.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't know if you can really make the determination that the show wasn't going in the right direction. You don't have a live audience. And without the live audience, it's a lot of things that are just unknown. The ratings are tricky. I mean, the ratings will go down because there's so many people that are not in the home right now watching television because they're out protesting and doing what they want to do to have their voices heard. I don't think you can judge anything in the COVID-19 Black Lives Matter type of bubble that we're living in right now, because I don't think professional wrestling on the grand scheme of things is what's important. And that's what it really comes down to. Like, when you think about people are getting killed by police left and right, there's people protesting the removal of statues that may offend people. Who cares if Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley are having a fake feud? It just doesn't matter on the grand scheme of things. But if you build a strong foundation, your company will sustain whenever things go back to normal. Manny, do you have go ahead, Mark.
Go to Manny.
I was going to say...
I'll talk forever. Manny?
I had a point and then it went. I think
Back to me then.
I think they're definitely jumping the gun. I feel like had they waited another 2 months, I think you might have started to see things start to move upwards. I just think that they're being reactive rather than actually dealing with what the real problem is. And the real problem is that they haven't built enough stars recently, and the product is suffering.
Yeah, it's more of a history. I feel like, because I agree with you guys on both about them jumping the gun and shouldn't have fired Heyman. I feel like it's just the history of what they've been doing of recycling all these old legends and stuff, and you haven't established this new team. It's kind of like I hate to use the Lakers. The Lakers, when they were the trash Lakers, the Cedric Ceballos years, but the Kobe and Shaq days were right around the corner. And you'd have to draft the right people, and you got to build these guys up. And that's what I think they were in the process of doing. I feel like Garza's on his way. He's looking like a star. Apollo was just finding his way. Lashley and MVP is the perfect dynamic. Brought that back together. And, even the women's division, they were actually doing things with Asuka and Charlotte. I can't think of any other women.
It depends.
Liv Morgan.
It depends if you're part of that petition to stop Charlotte getting more titles, which I thought was the most ridiculous thing this week.
I want to give her all the titles.
So, my last question about this subject, I guess, is: do you think that Paul Heyman was removed from his role because he's not a yes man like Bruce Pritchard? Manny, do you think that played a role into the decision of Vince McMahon?
Of course it did. Paul Heyman's a guy that would challenge something that he thought was not good. And Vince is known for pushing forward for really crappy comedy that has aged. It's not as funny as it used to be. You might get a chuckle out of here and there, but it's definitely dated comedy. I feel like they need to be more in touch with a younger audience because it's a PG show, so you're booking for kids essentially.
Yeah, Vince. I pretty much understand what Vince is trying to do with his humor. He tries to create a variety show to try to balance it, but he fails multiple times by doing it. In Vince and Paul Heyman's defense, we don't know who's a part of the stuff I like. I mean, it's rumored that Vince wants so-and-so. He doesn't want these guys pushed, or Heyman wanted so-and-so. But we honestly don't know how Raw is actually ran, or SmackDown. No one actually knows. It's just Vince's vision. And you'd probably get one or two things you would like to add to a show. So it'd be interesting to see how much they change. But I doubt if we notice for the next 3 weeks.
I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see if the product changes, if it's back to the old tried and true. Hopefully, you don't notice a difference, because I hate that these reports get out, because once the reports get out, then you start looking for things. Well, Paul Heyman wouldn't did it that way or stuff like that. I mean, Grunge Smurf did point out that they barely did anything with Liv. I'm not really sure, because I know Liv Morgan was one of the names that Paul Heyman was trying to push. Not really sure what they were going to do with the Black Canary, but I mean, only time will tell. Now,
she had a moment of getting hot. She had 3 wins in a row, and she was having solid matches. Liv was actually, I was like, oh, she might actually do something. I've never thought there was that much, but there was a moment. There was a moment when I was like, I might can make money off Liv Morgan.
But I didn't understand the promos of the last couple of weeks where it was just her talking to a camera and my mum had grit.
Well, yeah, it was for me, I kind of took it as an interpretation. Maybe she was calling her mom Charlotte or something like that. Like Charlotte was her mama. I'm not really sure.
Is that where you were going with that?
I don't know, because Charlotte had just got finished whooping her ass, and next thing you know, she starts talking about, hey, my mama had grit. I don't know what it was. But now that since we're talking about grit, I would like to touch on.
Her mama made grits, Eric. Mama made grits.
I might eat some grits today for breakfast. I mean, after we finish this show. Another thing I would like to talk about. You guys covered NXT, and you covered the In Your House pay-per-view. There was one thing that I really want to talk about, and I can't recall if I heard you guys discuss this on your show, because I only watched a couple of minutes of it, to be totally honest. You know,
Wow, you son of a bitch.
The pure
You son of a
jealousy
bitch.
and the hate and all that good stuff. You know, I just it drives me crazy. But with that being said, something that drove someone crazy, a superstar, Randy Orton, commented that he heard that the NXT show had a good outing, but he heard, which means he didn't watch. He listened to the streets. Ciampa decided to clap back and said that, oh, well, when my kid can't go to sleep, I put on a Randy Orton match. Randy then clapped back and says that, well, if I need to learn how to slap my thigh, go ahead. All that being said is there's rumors that Randy Orton may take his talent down to the NXT roster to teach these people how to work. Manny, I'm going to go to you first. Would you like to see Mr. RKO himself down there in the NXT universe trying to teach NXT superstars how to work?
I don't think it's how to work. I think it's to work a more safer style so you can prolong your career. I think what he was getting at more was a lot of guys do the flips and everything in NXT. That's why people are excited, but it's like you're going out there killing yourself almost all the time, and he's just going out there saying, you know what, I don't remember half the stuff you guys do, because once you've done that, you move on to the next spot, and a lot of that is high risk. And he's basically saying, like, you're cutting years off your career by doing that. Like, remember back in the day of early Randy Orton, before Evolution, when he used to do the
chin lock.
Not even the chin lock. He used to do a crossbody off the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
And then he always dislocated his shoulder. And then someone just told him, hey man, you're 6 foot whatever.
7.
Yeah, you don't need to be doing that kind of stuff. So you can tell. I think you notice it more when, do you know how we go NXT wrestlers are buried when they get to the main roster? Yeah. But I think it's them adjusting to the actual Raw and SmackDown style where it's not so high risk.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, in the situation, I read the comments, and although it looks like the comment section, Chris does not care for Randy Orton. I guess he feels the same way as he does for Charlotte in this situation, which makes perfectly good sense because of the lineage. But
I can see the Randy Orton hate.
But Randy is the type of person, when his comments, he said that they don't let the stuff build. Like, you hit a big move, and it doesn't you don't let the crowd eat it in and suck it up, because it's like, big move, big move, big move. In so many ways, I felt like Randy was not only taking a shot as the NXT superstars, but also the roster of AEW. Marcus, do you feel like it was a double shot taken, or how do you feel?
Well, remember, I think he had an argument with the Young Bucks a while back, and all the wrestlers that do flips from way back, even in Japan, and he watches the matches. He does not like that style of, like, high octane, we're going to do flips, we're going to dive, there's going to be a million super kicks and stuff like that. He's more of the, I would paraphrase, he's more like the Revival, in which he'd rather just have matches that make sense, you have nice holds, and you tell a good story in the end. And for Randy, that's the kind of style I prefer, but I do like the high spot matches just to get me like, oh, this is great. But it's like a blend on my wrestling show. Whether it's I get a bunch of high spots in a match, fine. The next match, I kind of wouldn't mind having something that's very technical to the ground, like a Randy Orton and, I don't know, Kurt Angle or something, and when it's just not a bunch of high spots. And I agree with him. Like, it should be more physical. Like, when I was watching the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match this week, it was some dives in it and some, spots in it, but a lot of it was just a physical match when they're putting holds on each other and moving around. And wrestling pretty smart. No one seemed to really they beat the hell out of each other, but it was, everything made sense and everything was worth it. I feel like they were fighting the logic of the match. Bang to Manny. Oh, wrong way. Dang.
Yeah, so after I listened to that Inside the Ropes interview with Randy Orton, I listened to the one with Shawn Michaels a couple of days later. And Shawn Michaels was basically saying, like, he was told his whole career, like, to stop working that high octane kind of style. And it was only late in his career when he realized that, like, he should have started to slow down here and there.
Yeah. And a few wrestlers learn their styles when they get older. Like the older you get, the smarter you become in the ring and realize you don't have to do much. Like when you watch in an AEW, when we watch Dustin Rhodes, aka Goldust, when he wrestles a very smart style now. Yeah, he does Canadian destroyers, but that's just his opponent flipping over into him. He doesn't actually do anything. He does some physical stuff and he throws people around and he wrestles a smarter match. And that's why when these older guys get in the ring, whether it's Jericho or when Steamboat got in the ring with Jericho or stuff like that, they really can adapt. They can have a longer career by just adapting styles. Like for me, if the Young Bucks got old and were continuing wrestling, it would not be. We wouldn't be like, oh, this is great. No, it wouldn't be because they can't do half the moves they did before. Any flips. They probably can do a super kick, but the person probably got to, kneel down to him. So I agree with Randy Orton that in time, a lot of these people will realize to slow it down.
It just comes down to the whole fact is that you can't be a spot monkey your whole career. You have to be able to learn to wrestle all the styles because your athleticism will fade, but your career might still exist. And that's just something that's very, important for your longevity. Speaking of longevity,
can I jump in before we go further?
You always do. Go ahead.
Goddamn right I did.
You don't have to host, so you can just jump in when you want.
I just wanted to say something that I didn't get a chance to answer earlier.
You've talked a lot.
Randy Orton in NXT. I would love to see Randy Orton in NXT.
Who would you want to see him face?
People down there? Well, right now because he's arguing with Ciampa. Ciampa would be a good one. Just some of the people. Even like I'd like to see him mix it up. Damian Priest maybe. I don't know who's actually still down there. Timothy Thatcher and Randy Orton would probably be really good because he'll fight the style Randy Orton wants. But it'll probably, but it'd be a good mix. I feel like Randy Orton going down there would be like it would be a step up than when they sent Charlotte down there. It'd be like, oh, that's Randy Orton.
It would boost the ratings.
That's a real wrestler.
Yeah, Randy Orton will push the needle.
Yeah,
yeah.
So speaking of pushing the needle, I'm gonna do something that I've not done before.
Heroin.
No, I'm not gonna do heroin live on the show. Because as you guys know, I'm still salty that you guys did the Manny and Marcus show. So I'm not going to start off.
You encouraged us to do it.
Yes, but
it's not like we just did it without your input.
Hey, Manny, I don't have a gimmick here. I'm just Eric, but now I can be salty Eric. Let me be salty at the situation.
Oh, God.
So Marcus and Manny has already talked about a little bit on Raw if you tune into Marcus and Manny on Tuesday and Thursday. So there's one show they have not had a chance to talk about, and that's the show I'm going to start off with, and that's Friday Night SmackDown, because Friday Night SmackDown pushed the needle to a point that I can't believe because it started off with a drug test, a freaking drug test by Sheamus to get a contract signed. And the biggest tragedy that I faced while watching this, and I had to call Marcus and let him know this, is that if you watch the live feed of SmackDown, you got to see the urine thrown on Sheamus. On the West Coast feed, they edited the urine throwing out, and I did not get to see it. I had to go to YouTube to watch them throw the piss. Marcus, this was the very first openly drug test. He does need to drink some water. That took place, I think, in wrestling history, Marcus. That was on camera. How did you feel about this?
No, Sean did one a while back, as evidence showed. And then he also threw the piss into Shane and Vince McMahon's face.
I think it was exactly the same.
It was exactly the same. They had the same setup and everything. But I enjoyed it because I didn't remember that segment until I went online. Everybody was like, oh, they did the same segment again. I don't care. It was nice for me. I really wish they hired better doctors, people who look like doctors. This dude just looked like an idiot. Oh, Jeff Hardy. They did nothing realistic with the urine at all. They gave Jeff Hardy a bucket to fill up, and he not only filled it. Like, my interpretation is Jeff Hardy shouldn't have came out the ring until he went to the restroom first. Like, he looked like he was holding some urine for hours. It's like, when am I going on? Oh, I can probably hold it to after this segment. But he pissed a gallon of urine into that thing, and the doctor who was working his magic behind him, who figured out this 24-second test that he figured out, was doing his magic. And Sheamus did not see this urine coming. I don't know how he didn't see it coming, but he didn't see it.
I don't understand how he managed to do that test. Did he get the rest of the urine off of Sheamus's face?
Well, I'm assuming the little strip that he had, that strip was soaked in there enough. I mean, technically, Jeff pissed a beer pint worth of piss. Like, I don't think
he didn't have to fill it up.
I don't think I had that much piss in me ever. Like, it might take a couple of days for me to give that much piss. But what I found I know this segment took a lot of heat online talking about it's too close to home. It made me feel uncomfortable. I don't like them expressing Jeff Hardy's demons, but I thought it was authentic. I thought it was real. I think that when we watch stuff, we don't need to always be comfortable with what we're watching. That's why we're in the situation where we're at right now, where people's like, don't talk about racism because it makes me uncomfortable. Well, fuck, be uncomfortable and don't be a racist. I mean, if you're an addict and you have an addiction problem, that has legitimately been well documented for Jeff Hardy, and it's a struggle every day when you're an addict. And I thought that they did an excellent job of him trying to say he's trying to conquer his demons. And when Sheamus was doing stuff to make him want to go back, he doesn't want to let people down. And it felt authentic to me. Maddie, how did you feel about it? Did it offend you that they're taking a little bit from Jeff's personal life and portraying it into the fictional world of SmackDown?
No, because there's no secret and there's no point glossing over the fact that Jeff has these things like demons. Because if you gloss over the fact that that's happened, then you're doing more of a disservice to your fans, because you kind of want to portray Jeff as he's trying to make his life better. Not all people that suffer from alcoholism and like drug abusers are all going to turn out to be like horrible people or dead straight away. So like, it's good that they're trying to portray this story of like, yeah, Jeff's just trying to recover his life.
And he's taking it step by step. Because, I mean, he said all the things I thought that it was very powerful. He says, my name is Jeff Hardy, and I'm an addict. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's something that you have to admit. And Sheamus being a dick, pretty much. Like, he was very good at being a dick. Like, I'm more invested in this Sheamus Hardy scenario because it feels more authentic than Sheamus picking on Shorty G for being short. Like, I could care less about that. I mean, when Sheamus looked into the screen and said, don't do drugs, if I was Jeff Hardy, I would throw piss on him too. Fuck you. Like, you know, it just... But, Marcus, I'm going to go back to you before we move on. Also, did you appreciate Sheamus giving his lackluster statement that he gave to the police? Because, like, technically, he's still...
No one has ever got away with more than Sheamus. He is clearly the one guilty. If the police did any research, these guys have had a rivalry for weeks now. Sheamus has had a personal issue with Jeff Hardy. A man with a orange beard and orange hair was seen running from the crime. Sheamus continues to berate him throughout the night and call him a junkie. Jeff Hardy thinks it's Sheamus? No, the investigation never got further than it wasn't me. That's kind of his explanation. He did the Shaggy explanation. It wasn't me. But I got you on camera. It wasn't me. So it was complete garbage. But what I wanted to bring up about this drug testing segment, Eric, and every now and then, I like to think of wrestling as, you know, I like to sink my teeth into the real world of what would happen in this scenario. I mean, I would want, Jeff Hardy should not be offended by being drug testing in a sporting competition. I believe every athlete is drug tested in a sporting competition before they fight. If this was UFC, imagine John Jones peeing into a cup and then just throwing it into Dana White's face because he knew he was offended that he would drug test him. Then John Jones fails to drug test everyone.
Well, Marcus,
I think I enjoy that aspect of realism in which it makes me laugh if this happened in real life.
Yeah, but the problem with if I was in that situation, the problem I would be having would be, why am I having a public?
No, Manny,
public.
My biggest problem is not.
They
Why? Not only is it a public test, but why is it being offered up by Sheamus? Sheamus has not this power. It's like Sheamus is not the one who should be like, piss or I'm not going to wrestle you. Like, he shouldn't have that power. Like, I mean, I know there's not an authority figure, but he walked out there with security. He walked out there with the gate and shit. And like, Marcus, I don't think Hardy was upset about taking the test. I think he was upset that Sheamus was the one trying to make him take this test.
But here's my thing about all of this. Why are they having a contract signing for a regular match?
Well,
nothing happening.
Marcus,
that resulted. This isn't for the Intercontinental title. This isn't for the number one contendership, or even to fight Cody next week.
Marcus,
this was just a regular match we're gonna have.
They
have regular matches all the time on SmackDown or Raw. They just throw together triple threat matches or tag matches by the dozen.
It is to find out the truth.
Contract sign is blasphemy.
It is to find out the truth of who took out Elias. That's what this is all about.
So since we're still covering this segment, I'm trying to cover it as a whole. I think the biggest dick move was the doctor going into Sheamus telling him, hey, he tests negative, right? You think Sheamus gave a fuck? He came in there. That Jeff Hardy tests negative for his drug test. You think I give a fuck about that? And then later on, they're seen fighting on the outside. You would think security would have been already up. If someone threw piss on me, I would have had my gun and I would have tried to shoot him.
I just want to point out, Marcus, people have done less in the wrestling universe and they've been escorted out the building. I'm confident once that contract got signed between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, they should have escorted Jeff Hardy ass out of the arena. He just got finished throwing piss on the man. You cannot throw piss on a man and not expect a man to want revenge. At the same time, though, if anybody deserved to get piss thrown on him, it's Sheamus. Sheamus tried to get this man arrested, fired, have his family turn his back on him, all just because he was upset they kept playing video packages when he was having his matches on SmackDown. That's a bitter bitch right there.
Eric, I'm going to come under the assumption that we believe that wasn't really piss he threw on him, right?
Oh, no, that was apple juice, man.
So my question for you, if someone was to throw fictional piss on you, what would you want them to throw on you? What would you want it to taste like? What kind of apple juice do you prefer? Do you want cider?
Marcus,
how would you want it?
Marcus, I would like Martinelli's, the stuff that we use on New Year's Eve. Like this fuzzy and sweet. That's what I like. I mean, I'm not R. Kelly in this situation. I don't want to piss on nobody, and I don't want nobody to piss on me. Marcus, Chris would like to know what type of water are you drinking? That's for a free sponsor.
Aquafina.
No, Marcus, it might be tap water in an Aquafina bottle.
This is 100% toilet water in an Aquafina. I just dipped it in, and then I drank. This is the last bit of water in the house. I also use this water to bathe.
And then Manny's trying to class it up by drinking out of a mug like he's a real talk show host. So what can I say? So once again, staying in SmackDown's universe, they kept it real a little bit more because the next match was we're going to get to Tucker Knight making his epic return and not only making a return but getting a win. But we need to talk about one more segment where the New Day showed up and the New Day decided to debut taking a knee and putting the fist up in the air. And I will point out that was a great moment right there for me until they lost to Nakamura and Cesaro. And I was like, well, damn.
It was all good.
It was all good just a week ago.
But can we also pay tribute to Keith Lee, who also had Black Lives Matter on his tights and his ring jacket as well in your house?
I believe Mia Yim also had like the names of the people who were slain. Like it's. I was surprised. Shout out to
Mark Quinn as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to speak on Mark Quinn. I know you guys spoke on Mark Quinn already.
No, it's still the same show. I'm willing to talk about Mark Quinn, but I'm just saying for all the people who showed the what's the word I'm looking for?
Their support for the movement
for Black Lives Matter
to end racism and systemic racism in the world. With that being said, I do also like the fact that the Forgotten Sons have been forgotten already, and they have been erased, and I believe they're being replaced with Cesaro and Nakamura, who I personally feel is a better feud for the New Day. you can't tell me a bad match that Cesaro has been involved with the New Day. You can't. So I'm looking forward to this. Marcus, I'll go to you because you have a lot of people in this match that you like.
I hate them all. No, I thought it was a solid match, but I really wish it was something built upon this. It seemed to me like a last minute dodge of the Forgotten Sons. That's what it felt like. We're giving the Forgotten Sons all these video packages. Oh no, what is Gunner saying? All right, we gotta switch this out. We don't need this type of heat going on. The New Day versus the Forgotten Sons is a really touchy match right now.
Oh, it is.
So we're gonna have to transition, and then they do it in the simplest way, which I wish there was another way in which the New Day just takes a loss to Shinsuke and Cesaro. I just feel like there could have been a better way to get to this, even though it is last minute, or just not have a match. Backlash seems to have 1 million matches already. We didn't need this one.
It's going to be a long show. I feel like you guys are going to have a lot to talk about on the Manny and Marcus show that will take place on Tuesday, where they will discuss.
We skimmed, Jack.
Marcus, I'm trying to give you guys fucking promotion, and you keep talking over me.
Well, you said it in the most hateful way, Eric. I heard it.
Hey,
you were talking with your gums.
Hey, I'm trying to.
Your chest, homie.
I am trying to get my ticket punched to the haters ball this year, and I have something to hate on now. Hate.
If you keep hating, Eric, we will never invite you to be a part of Marcus and Mandy's show.
Okay,
we will never invite you to be.
I'll just go and hijack the chat with Chris again and drive you crazy, and make you annoying.
Turn that shit off. All right, unlimited power.
Who put the description on that episode as well? Manny and Marcus also argue with the chat.
That was Marcus. I did not do that.
That's me. That's not even me.
I like how Marcus lied because y'all barely engaged with the chat, so I don't know how you can say you argue with the chat. But neither here nor there.
It was fought with the chat.
Manny, are you looking forward to this perceivable feud between Nakamura and Cesaro against the New Day?
Yeah, because if you've ever listened to the New Day podcast, Cesaro is very much embedded in the New Day life, and Cesaro is an incredible wrestler. And then if it gives Nakamura that surge of life to become the wrestler he should be, not this lazy one that we've seen recently where
he doesn't even button up his shirt.
He just shows up to work now and just like wrestling is my side hustle. It'd be all good. Like I enjoyed Nakamura when he was in NXT. I haven't really enjoyed anything from him since that John Cena match he had on It's a Rare SmackDown.
I mean, the thing about it, it's like I'm happy about it, but I'm also disappointed that when they took the knee and put the fist up in the air, then they lose. It's like, oh man, that moment just it kind of got lost. But a moment that didn't get lost on me.
They may do it again at Backlash.
I know, but a moment that didn't get lost on me, Marcus, was the moment that we all been waiting for weeks on end. We were anticipating. Marcus thought it was gonna happen last week, but it didn't happen. But this week, Marcus, it finally occurred. We got the return of Tucker Knight. Tucker Knight made his return back to WWE SmackDown with his and the fact this motherfucker act like he wasn't gone for a minute. He just showed up back to work.
Okay, Eric. So I know we had the AJ Styles Daniel Bryan match.
Yes.
I know we had Jeff Hardy throw a pistol though. I know the New Day created a moment by supporting Black Lives Matter and throwing a fist up in the ring. But none of that compares to my favorite moment of SmackDown, the return of Tucker Knight.
Marcus, and I hate to say it, I'm with you. I'm with you, man.
So Tucker shows up, and he wants to get Otis back in the game, so he's doing some Jedi mind trick with me. And so he's putting me to his nose, and then suddenly Otis gets a kiss, and Otis right away say, "Hey Tucker, man."
Hey Tucker.
I know you want to get ready. I understand where this is. I don't know where this is going. So the thing is, he's questioning Tucker Knight's sexuality right off the bat. Like, a kiss on the lip can only be one thing. Now, if Tucker Knight kissed me on the lip, and Otis reacted in the coolest way possible, then he just started swinging like, Tucker, what the fuck? Because he knew he was on TV. But Tucker Knight's on his way out. Just say.
Hey, Tucker Knight got to win, though. He looked like shit, though, but he still got to win. In the main event that I wasn't going to even cover. I wasn't talking about that main event. I could care less.
Hold on. If you don't cover it, can I cover one thing?
Go ahead.
Ziggler, Morrison, and Miz just needs to be a trio. They just need to be that crew.
So-
I don't understand why you can't put them together.
Wait.
Ziggler fits with them, and they're friends offside of
Marcus.
wrestling. It just makes sense.
Calm down.
They're the
So,
White New Day.
You don't
They're the
understand.
White New Day.
Do you know what the saddest thing I saw, Marcus? I was going through my Twitter feed, and you go to Zack Ryder, because I think his real name is Matt something, and he posts a picture that has Ziggler, Morrison, and Miz, and he has a crying emoji because he's part of that four-way dance right there, and he's not with them. I felt bad for that man right then and there. I mean, they're still employed. Chelsea Green is still employed, and he's unemployed.
Hey, they want to use his pool.
They did. They did.
So they still kind of want to be around everybody that's associated here, have everything around Zack Ryder but Zack Ryder. They may invite Zack Ryder's dad for a Monday Night Raw just to piss him off even more.
So, Manny, you spoke on Tucker, right? Because I got distracted and I forgot, or did you not?
I just hope he eventually turns on Otis, the Care Bear. He actually looks like the lion from Care Bears, if you ever remember that. I hope he turns on Otis, and a violent one. I want a violent turn in where he tries to cash in his money in the bank and he hits him.
You want blood?
I want blood.
You want blood?
So I know
Tucker takes blood.
I know I could talk about Sasha Banks and them on SmackDown, but I'll just do that when we talk about Raw because I'm all over the place like that. Let's just talk about Marcus. I need to ask you this. I'm going to ask you this right now. Was AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan the greatest match ever? Or are we still waiting for Edge versus Randy Orton?
I'm sure Randy Orton and Edge are going to have a better match than this. They're going to have the greatest match ever. It's been advertised. Anything else, I can get a refund. Anything else. So, I thought the AJ Styles-Daniel Bryan match was damn near perfect. Only had one problem. One problem with the match. And that was commercial breaks.
Oh.
This should have been a pay-per-view match. And, two problems. And it wasn't the main event. I didn't need the main event. Like, I didn't need the show to continue after that. It just seemed like it should have ended after that.
Well, I will point out that match took over the whole SmackDown episode. It started like in the bottom hour of the first hour and then ended right at the beginning of the last hour for the second hour. And I was like, wow. And I can understand where you're saying that the commercial breaks took away from the poetry that was taking place in that ring. However, you have to give WWE credit that they know how to take commercial breaks because it was great spots to stop for the sponsors, and then it came back to action. Compared to when you watch AEW, sometimes they be in mid-swip. Oh, you can still look at the picture-in-picture, and I'm like, no, I want to see what you're doing on the main screen. Manny, were you upset that they tried to get you with the bait and switch of Brie Bella posting the picture of that title, and it comes to find out that AJ Styles has completed his accomplishment of having every belt in WWE?
He hasn't had every belt, Eric.
Oh, well, what belt hasn't he had?
The Universal title. He hasn't had any tag titles.
Nope.
No, he was
had
a
tag team
champion.
With who?
Y2 AJ happened.
Yeah, but they didn't have the tag titles.
I think he did it with John Cena. It may have been John Cena.
Yeah,
he hasn't had a tag title.
He had it. He's a tag champion.
Oh, God.
Send it to the review, Eric. Get it to the review.
Well, Manny,
we're going to the review.
Let me go look up Daddy Republican and find out his
AJ Styles accomplishment. Former tag team champion AJ Styles. I know he did it. Book on it. I'm willing to bet my life. Okay?
Your life.
My life.
Your life.
Okay, would you bet your show?
On the line.
Would you bet your show?
And just call it the Manny Show featuring Marcus? I can change it to that.
He has held all three major championships in the WWE. The WWE Championship, United States Championship, and an Intercontinental. He just needs the tag team titles now to become a grand. Oh shit! Well, damn.
God damn
Man.
it.
Well, Marcus, the first rule of the game is that you never doubt the Englishman when he's telling you facts. Simple as that.
Damn it.
He is Lord Manny Hayes for a reason. He is.
This is why, kids. This is why you shouldn't use God's name in vain when you're singing in your intro of your name, because it comes back to haunt you. I know you time travel with that shit.
You bet your life. I own your life now.
But Manny, as we know, one thing about Marcus, he doesn't pay debts because he still ain't got no damn Tamina shirt. You too, Wes. You too. Yo excuse talking about you have it. You're waiting for the right time to debut when Tamina come back. No. And El Luchador, thank you for letting us know that he hadn't been tag champ. Marcus, I still enjoyed the match. I know you. For me, I just don't. I understand why it didn't take place at Backlash, but at the same time, I thought it should have main evented SmackDown, like you said, because I felt after that match there was nothing else that could follow that match, and I did really enjoy that little bit of extra seasoning they put after AJ defeated Daniel Bryan. Then they came down and interviewed him in the ring, and he talked about his greatness, and I was like, he's about to make this Intercontinental title bigger than the Universal Championship because I respect him more than I do Braun Strowman.
Now here's my question. Would you be offended if he turned that title white, like the original Intercontinental title?
No.
Considering this All Lives Matter AJ.
No.
I wouldn't either. I was just messing around.
The white belt has always been my favorite belt.
It should be a white belt. I feel like it'll look better as a white belt.
Chris, to answer your question, why it didn't take place at Backlash? Because you can't take away from the greatest wrestling match ever that will happen between Edge and Randy Orton. Because... And they wouldn't got the time because they got too much shit on Backlash. They do.
So I said on the Marcus and Manny show, episode 1, the pilot, that Charlotte and Asuka was my match of the week so far from In Your House into Raw. And then Marcus did mention about AJ and Daniel Bryan, but we hadn't seen that yet. And this is definitely the match of the week this week. But the problem is, Randy Orton and Edge have a terrible time following that. They're going to have a terrible time following that. And I posted a clip on the mid-card mess earlier today about when Steve Austin asked Cameron what was her favorite match. And she said Melina versus Alicia Fox.
You got that right.
So
you're gonna. There's some people that will say Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 is their best match ever. The greatest match ever. But then you've got Cameron saying Melina versus Alicia Fox is the greatest match ever.
I mean,
she doesn't even remember when it took place. She doesn't know if it was a Raw or SmackDown. Like, I remember Austin just grilling her, going like, when did this even take place? But in her defense, I want to sit down with Cameron, watch this match, and say, do you think this is better than Alicia Fox and Melina? If she says no, then they cannot have the greatest match ever. Because the greatest match ever should be universally loved.
So with that being said, since we're talking about the greatest match ever, it only means one thing. It's time for me to jump into Monday Night Raw. I know you guys touched on the big topics, but let's just talk about the greatest match ever. The last hype for this match was the Peep Show. They brought Christian out. Christian, I guess he started out that he's running out of fumes, and he felt that Edge couldn't pull the best wrestling match off in his prime. I felt like at this point, Christian was going off to be the biggest hater in the game. And I was like, shit, I got to step my game up because Christian is just out here just throwing so much hate and so much shade at Edge. And then you come to find out that it was kind of like a reverse psychology pep talk to wake up Edge because he wanted to get the look in the eyes that Edge didn't have. Did this segment work for you, Marcus?
It did. I thought that Edge has jumped leaps and bounds over Christian on promo work. I felt, and Randy Orton as well. So I enjoyed Edge and Randy Orton. Christian was okay or whatever, but it was good final hype. I enjoyed the Randy Orton promo post whatever Christian and Edge were doing though.
Yeah, because
he was half looking at the camera, talking about I'll knock your ass out.
Randy,
that. Like, dang, he's like shit.
Marcus, Randy pretty much didn't give a fuck about what they think. He said he plans to take every ounce of passion and grit away from Edge, and he's going to make him a family man again. The redemption of Edge is over. Manny, how would you like if someone told you they're going to make you a family man again? I just feel like I got to whoop somebody's ass.
Oh, Randy needs to get a punch in the mouth. That's what he needs. A good punch in the mouth. How dare you make me become a mum again? Stay at
First
home
of all,
dad.
Randy, I was never a stay-at-home dad. I
Oh, he
was a
was?
deadbeat dad. I was never around. And when I did, it was just to go into the fridge, come back, and then leave again.
And then when Christian mentioned his mum, and it's well documented that how Edge loved his mum, and when his mum passed, he had a tough, difficult time adjusting. I thought Edge was about to turn on Christian, and Eric has stated the hate coming from Christian at the beginning, which turned into pep talk. Christian should be pissed. They had a podcast together, and then Edge decided, I'm going to wrestle again, and then the podcast ended.
You ruined my life. That's the only thing I had left. What am I going to do next? Go to WWE backstage?
Which he has. Which he has. I mean, the sad part about Christian, and this is really the worst part, is that Christian, even if he got cleared to wrestle again, I don't think many people would care if he was making a comeback. His comeback would not even. Marcus, I don't think people would care enough. I don't think so. He was the greatest TNA champion ever, but that's about it. He got a great payday from WWE when he returned, but Christian Cage will always be in the shadow of Edge. The only good news is that he did not get thrown through the barbershop window, and that's what I have to say. And everybody in the chat room, if you guys can do us a favor, please like our episode so we can get more people, going. I would appreciate the likes if you guys can do that. Thank you.
Eric.
Yes.
So El Luchador has said, does Randy decide to try in this match or mail it in like he has done in the last 5 to 7 years?
So this is a very unfair question to ask me because as Chris may have known because he's listened to the show a while, I love me some Charlotte, but what I love more than Charlotte is some Randy. I like the two biggest douchebags in professional wrestling who come from lineage. And I feel like this is going to be vintage Randy Orton match where he's just going to do shit to piss people off. I hope I get my chin locks. I hope I get I hope he toys with Edge. I expect this match to be extremely long and extremely maniacal where it's just going to, yes, Chris, it's going to make you throw up. That's how much this match is going to. I can't wait for this match because, god damn it is the greatest wrestling match ever. If you can see the big-ass Kool-Aid smile on my mouth, you can see how passionate I am. All hell, Randy.
I see a giant erection. Jesus. He just brought it. I was like, so, with that being said, Eric, I want them to do the bait and switch. They promised us the greatest wrestling match of all time. I want it to be a cinematic match. I want them to just do storytelling. Randy's in the chin lock for 20 minutes just talking shit to Edge. Then they break out, and then there's a spear with some fireworks behind it. I want this to be an absolute fiasco of a match.
It should be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be, but hopefully it can live up to some of the hype. Who knows?
I think it's going to be a good match. But I think it's going to get a bum rep for what they're advertising. This wasn't the greatest match of all time. Once you give something that, it's over.
Well,
it's over.
Because there's going to be people like Chris that's just going to say it's bad because he hates Randy Orton. I already know. I took a shot there. I mean, I don't ignore the chat like Marcus. I go, what can I say?
Double Iron Man match.
I can't do
2 hours long. I don't even have the patience to do that.
I can't
anymore.
do 2 hours long. Shit.
The full bait switch of Backlash is only one match. All these other matches get bumped because Randy Orton and Edge go 3 hours long to a draw.
So, Monday Night Raw started off a very interesting way. It started off with the women's tag team champions, Sasha and Bayley, making their appearances on Monday Night Raw. And right then and there, I said, you know what? This feels right. These two are bigger stars than Nikki Cross and that damn Alexa Bliss could ever be. I mean, and I was just like, they only put the belt on them so they can jump to Monday Night Raw. And they just decided to celebrate their victory. Then they interrupted the match that was supposed to take place right then and there. It was supposed to be Charlotte versus Asuka. Apparently, Charlotte and Asuka was supposed to start off the night. They ended up ending off the night. The Iconics got involved. But while all this was going on, a question popped into my head, and I had it for you and Manny, Marcus. Manny, who are bigger stars? And you have to keep them together. Charlotte and Asuka, or Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley?
Charlotte and Asuka. They are way bigger than Drew and Bobby Lashley. Let's take a trip back in time. Do you remember the initial
Hold on, can we do
push?
some time travel motion?
Yeah.
We need to get a time travel graphic.
Let's go back to the initial push of Bobby Lashley, where he was ECW champion and then he was making his way up. Then he got paired with Donald Trump at WrestleMania. I think it was 22 or 23. And at that point, everyone was like, they're shoving Bobby Lashley down our throats, which was basically what everyone's talking about with Charlotte right now. And that was what, 13 years ago?
13 years ago.
And now we're at the stage where Bobby Lashley is basically in the same spot he was 13 years ago. Drew has elevated himself, but if you're combining the two together, Asuka and Charlotte are the bigger draw.
My question for you, your calculation of 13 years, is that based solely off what MVP said a couple of weeks ago? That 13 years?
Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to do maths.
I was like, in my head, I was thinking to myself, I was like, how did Manny know it was 13 years? And then I was like, oh yeah, MVP told us. Marcus, do you agree with Manny that Asuka and Charlotte are bigger stars than Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre?
It's really, for me, it's tough to say right now. Who I would rather see wrestle in the match would definitely be Charlotte and Asuka over and over. Drew could be a bigger star than them, but I don't think Lashley's the biggest star because he's been mid-carder and a joke. So it's a real toss-up. Like, I feel like Charlotte and Asuka gets the reaction each time they go. So I'm going Charlotte and Asuka. Manny, I agree.
Now,
Manny is right.
Let me ask.
My co-host every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Pacific time on the Sharpshooters channel on the DSP network is right.
Jonathan said Bobby looks like a Koopa Trooper without his shell. I agree with that also. Now,
honestly, if they were to cast someone as King Koopa's kid, Bobby Lashley would be doing. But I'd rather see him in the Pokemon movie as Machamp.
Now, Marcus, I'm going to ask you this question. So we already said that Bobby and Drew lost to Charlotte and Asuka, mainly because I think more people appreciate Asuka in this situation. But do they defeat Bayley and Sasha Banks?
Wait, who defeat Bayley and Sasha Banks?
Bobby and Drew. Are they bigger than like bigger stars?
Oh, okay. We're still the bigger star thing.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about a match, and I was like, wait, what?
No,
Yeah,
Marcus,
I
don't.
For a minute.
So the thing is, you guys already talked about the match, so I need to come up with different points to
Talk about it again. We didn't talk about the match. We just talked about top points. In fact, we may even glossed over this.
Yeah, all we said was it was a really good match, and then I might have said that it was the best match I saw so far that week.
But you're talking about the main event between Charlotte and Asuka. I mean, right now we're technically at the match where it was Charlotte, Asuka, Iconic, and against Sasha and Bayley, because we're still.
We didn't even cover this.
Yeah. The thing that I really appreciate the most about this match.
Hold on. Before you continue, just do your show, man. We don't cover everything.
Marcus, I am doing my show, but you keep stopping me from doing my damn show.
Let's do the Sharpshooters the way we do the damn Sharpshooters. And you do it the way you want, and we talk about it match by match. So therefore, I'm going to say it right now. This triple threat match was the greatest triple threat match I've ever seen.
What I thought was better about what made the triple threat match good, in my opinion, was the fact that the crowd was really into it. Like the "We Want Asuka" chant was amazing from the NXT crowd, and then Charlotte not tagging in her. I was like, "Oh, you old bitch! You need to try on that." Because although I am a Charlotte fan, I'm a bigger Asuka fan. So I support Asuka in this situation. The Iconics, the Iconics might be the team I'm cheering for this week on Backlash, because when we go back to SmackDown and they popped up on the screen, and apparently it was a two-way screen where they could see what was going on, and Sasha and Bayley, because Sasha was not dressed to wrestle, attacked them bitches from behind, made me upset. Them Iconics is setting people up. I had nothing else.
You gotta be joking me!
It was a Raw conspiracy in which they talked to the Iconics to have them jump Sasha and Bayley, who were in the middle of their celebration on SmackDown. It was a real celebration. Bayley dough straps, as she likes to be known now, which I think isn't going to last past this Sunday. And the Iconics are going to take the belts again. I would like this to be a continued story throughout their careers. Every time Sasha and Bayley reconcile their relationship and get the tag team titles, there comes the Iconics to take the belts from them. And this time ruin their friendship. This time ruin their friendship. Although I do enjoy Sasha and Bayley with these belts because they can go in show. Because NXT is advertising the women's tag team champions are defending their titles on NXT this week, even though they have no idea who it's going to be. I want that to be Sasha and Bayley. The Iconics showing up on NXT means nothing.
No, Sasha. Well, because the thing is, the whole thing of them
or Bliss and Cross.
Them defending their title is leading to the true thing that we want, and that's the match between them two. That's what happens. This is all. I mean, when Sasha came down to the ring on SmackDown, she wore them heels. She was not ready to fight anybody. I was still impressed that despite the attack, them heels still stayed on her feet. Or maybe she put them back on. I'm not 100% sure.
Charlotte here, she can walk in them heels.
Charlotte can't walk in heels, man. She get them wedges. But we need to move on because.
Why are you paying so much attention to women's footwear? Both of you.
You don't understand. The walking in, if a woman cannot walk in heels and they try to walk into it, it's absolutely hilarious to me. Just seeing them struggle. It's like watching somebody walk on a tightrope and you're just like, ooh, there's no net.
So for me,
or if you're in Vegas and you out late and you see the girls who can't walk in those shoes, they're all drunk and they're holding their shoes. It's just funny to me.
Giraffe leg. So the thing about it, Manny, is that heels I don't understand. Girls in heels, yes, they're perfectly fine. It's nice, but as Marcus points out, that so many of them can't walk in them. So if you can't walk in them, don't put them on. And that's who Charlotte is. Like, there's not many people out there like Zelina Vega who can walk in the shoes that she walks out with. Like,
well, she struggles as herself.
Well, that's what she decides to wear is the.
However,
heel.
I agree with Luchador in this situation. We don't need to make this a foot fetish. Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
No. Let's talk about feet, guys.
No, I'm not talking about no feet. So my favorite thing that happened on Monday Night Raw had to be when it was time for the Rey Mysterio medical update, and Seth Rollins came and joined the table, and then they went to a quick commercial break, and at that point you just hear Rey Mysterio call, "You son of a bitch," and I was just like,
"Damn you!
How do you go to a commercial break calling somebody a son of a bitch?"
You don't know what he's gonna say.
How'd you open up a call and just go, "You son of a bitch"?
Well, because I guess he didn't know that Seth was gonna be there, and I just laughed. It felt so genuine to me. Like, man, he really doesn't like Seth Rollins in this situation. And
well, he could have just hung up. He didn't have to look at him and go, I hear his music. Oh shit! He go, "You son of a bitch! You gonna ruin my interview."
So then next thing you know,
back after the break,
Rey Mysterio start writing 619 checks payable to the Monday Night Messiah. Rollins says he is peaceful, and he gave Rey a chance to walk away peacefully, and he advised him to come to Raw next week. My whole thing about it is that I appreciate Rey Mysterio trying to sell us his 619, but Manny, I bet you would take the check with a 619. It doesn't look like it hurt, right?
No. Well, it might, because his knees have been operated on about 1,000 times. So
they're made of metal.
They're made of metal now.
It's like that time Luger had the bionic elbow, and he would just run at people, and everybody was like, "That's a loaded elbow. It's illegal." That's what the 619 is. But honestly, Rey Mysterio too little to call out anybody. If you're his size, you don't be like, "Man, I got something waiting for you, man." You better
And
bring a knife or a gun, man.
No, and his voice is so passive that like if he threatened you, would you really feel that antagonized or threatened?
No.
I felt
like if Rey was still in the court of law and they were like, did he threaten you, man? What did he say? He said, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. And I'd be like, nah.
No, the quote, nah, fam. I mean, I felt more intimidated when Dominic made the threats. Like, Ray making threats is like, all right, Ray, I hope so. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, all right, we'll see what you're going to do.
Yeah, it was a very whatever, motherfucker. By the way, was this when Aleister Black showed up out of nowhere and dove himself?
Yes, because Aleister Black had a match that I decided that I'm not going to even waste time covering because it was just Aleister Black and Carrillo going against the disciples of Seth, and I'm like, who cares? But yeah, so it went to commercial break, calling Ray. Ray called him a son of a bitch, and then the segment ends going to commercial with Aleister Black diving on Seth Rollins. It just.
I feel like Aleister's taking his feud too serious. I think he has other anger issues somewhere else that he's directing into Seth Rollins because Seth only took Rey Mysterio's eye, and I know that's a real big deal, taking somebody's eye. He is a son of a bitch for doing it, but Aleister has no connection to Rey Mysterio. It's not like that's his father or his brother.
Well, because I think
his cousin.
Mark, the whole thing was they wanted Carrillo to do it, but Carrillo really don't have that je ne sais quoi. You know?
How dare you? That man has beautiful dimples.
Fuck his dimples. His dimples ain't cashing my checks. I can't take a dimple check.
Should get his own t-shirt.
No, you know what? You know what? I got to keep the show moving because we went from foot to dimples and I can't do it.
I bet you Chris Jericho calls him sexy.
One of my favorite things on commentary is when he just goes, oh, look how sexy that dude is. I'm going like, Penelope Ford's coming out with Kip saying, like, look how sexy Kip Sabian is.
So we're going to move on to more sexiness. We had Kevin Owens going against Angel Garza and Andrade. And I like to call the dissension of Vega's friends. I actually enjoy the ending of this match of Andrade getting that win when he just shoves KO off of Garza. Or Garza. I forgot how exactly, but I know at the time I liked it. Marcus, what about yourself? Did you like this match? Did you think Owens was going to get the win against Cruz?
Well, Eric, as someone said, to use a cliche, there is trouble in paradise within this group. Selena Vega was violently thrown to the ground by Angel Garza. And then they're imploding, and I think this group that had a good run, that I thought could have had a good run, has finally imploded, and they're all going their separate ways. And the fact that Santos Escobar made his debut on NXT is proof that they don't have time for two trios Latino groups and Filipino walking wilds.
Wow. But Manny, how about yourself? Did you feel that Andrade winning this match for a rematch against Apollo Crews was a good thing? And do you think with the change at the top of the pecking order, Apollo Crews championship run as United States champion is over?
I think it might be. I'm honestly worried for that, and I'm fearing the fallout coming out of this one because I feel like they know there's money with Andrade, so they're gonna keep it that way.
But I thought Cruz was making being a bald-headed brother like myself, I thought Cruz was making good strides at being a respectable champ.
He is making good strides, but we don't know what Brother Love is going to bring to Raw.
He might not got no love for the brothers, for all we know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, for me, I thought...
You've been looking at the news going, like, they ain't taking the United States title away from me. They already took away my statues. They took away the Confederate flag out of NASCAR. You're not taking the United States title.
Hey, shout out to NASCAR. That's a hell of a move right there. Hell of a move. My thing is, like, I thought that Andrade dropping the title was a good way for him to segue to someplace else, to maybe go back after Drew for the title if he defeats Bobby. I just don't think going after the United States champion is the right approach for Andrade in this situation. But I'm not the decision maker in this process.
They shouldn't break them up, and they should keep them as a tag team.
No, but that's the sad thing about it. Look, just in the lead up to WrestleMania, which was what, 2 months ago. These guys were on top of that division. They were the show. And then now, as people start trickling back in, they're gone back to being the bottom.
Well, as I think Paul Heyman says that he was pushing the catering crew because all the stars that he was pushing were considered always kicking in and catering and not on the show. And I actually like the catering crew push, but that's just me.
But Apollo's going to keep the title. I don't think he's going to lose. Well, I think Apollo's not losing until he loses later on to somebody else.
Well, considering that Backlash was already taped and Paul Heyman was in charge when Backlash was taped, he might be able to keep the title. However, he might drop.
Think that's the case?
He might drop the title on Monday Night Raw. You just don't know, man.
Do you think Paul Heyman is suffering? And I'm going to use the pun, and it is intended. And he's facing Backlash for Backlash. Maybe that show didn't come off the way anybody wanted it to.
No, because they keep talking. From everything I read, it was more about how Vince was feeling about the ratings. It was not. I don't think it had anything to do with the lead into Backlash.
No, I just think that he expected bigger change, but like at the same time, like the ratings are probably going to jump on Monday for the simple reason you hear a story that, oh, we've replaced Paul Heyman. Let's see what this guy's going to do, because wrestling fans, we like to commiserate on things.
It's post pay-per-view as well.
That's true,
it's
too.
It's post the greatest match that's ever happened.
Speaking of commiserating, when you can't figure things out by playing basketball, when you can't figure it out by having axe throwing take place, when you can't figure it out by bowling and some other event I can't think about, there's only one way to figure things out, and that's to have a decathlon. The decathlon took place with a 1,600-meter dash, archery, flip cup, sword fighting, hurdles, stick fighting, a dance-off, shot put, turkey leg eating, and a pole vault. Manny, go ahead.
So, a decathlon is basically a bunch of Olympic events, right?
10 events, sir. 10.
Why wasn't wrestling a part of this? It's an actual event at the Olympics.
I thought that's where we were going with this.
Like the final one, they should have been tied. It was like, oh, let's just have a wrestling match. I don't know why it took to the. And so, do you know what, Samoa Joe, you're a son of a bitch for suggesting this.
Manny was Manny got sassy right there. He was like, "Fuck, I just wanted my fucking wrestling match. I didn't need Flippy Cup.
I don't need this. I just want them to. They've been doing this for a month now. I need them to wrestle now.
Well,
they are on the Backlash card
in a wrestling match.
In a wrestling match.
For the titles.
For the belts.
So Manny's segment of them saying at the ending would have been a wrestling match would have probably been so much more sensible, because after the decathlon, no one even mentioned that they had a match on Backlash. Like, it's so, like, it was.
That's why Paul Heyman got fired.
You could be right.
But I feel like this had Vince all over it. This seems like a Vince thing.
But
this
then,
does not seem, oh no.
But then we get to the whole backstage segment for the VIP lounge, and first and foremost, let me say something. I got something to say. It ain't a VIP lounge if he's dressed to wrestle. It's just a man out there with a microphone. The VIP lounge is when he's out there in the suit.
What suit?
He got to be in his suit. He got to be suited and booted. Out there ready to wrestle ain't the VIP lounge. I just don't understand why the VIP lounge couldn't take place first in the show. That just showed me they didn't have the star power. But then we go backstage where we found out that the Viking Raiders are not as stupid as we thought they were. They actually offered an invitation to Drew McIntyre to join the raid. I mean, why not? I mean, of course, Drew turned them down.
It seems like everybody's getting together. The Viking Raiders and Drew McIntyre seem like they should be together, as the MVP, the Street Profits, and Lashley should be together. And I'm not saying race plays a part in this. I'm just saying it just looked right for me.
Yeah, but the whole thing is MVP. It looks like he's subtly doing it, and it's not like overly done, like a black empowerment thing with Bobby Lashley. But Bobby Lashley needs MVP to push him to that next level, because Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits definitely need to be acting more seriously, because I don't want them just being a crime time, essentially 2020 Crime Time ripoff.
Yeah, you don't want to go back in
they're
time.
not a 2020 Crime Time ripoff. They're a 2012 Primetime Players ripoff.
Millions of dollars.
But the
Millions
Primetime
of dollars.
Players, Marcus, was a
I forgot
ripoff
the
of
catchphrase.
they were a ripoff of Crime Time in that situation though. So
Yep.
I mean,
Who were a ripoff of Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson. Not just feel like doing that.
Marcus, Chris says you just want a new nation. It's okay to say that you want a new nation.
Oh, I want a new late nation, all right. And I want it to be MVP, the Street Profits, Bobby Lashley, and then, didn't he call somebody else a clown? I feel like every black person he walks up to, he's called a clown.
R-Truth was called a clown.
R-Truth.
Yep.
Which was a segment I enjoyed.
You being a clown.
But
Stop shucking the jacket for these white folk.
Did you like Charlie trying to instigate more trouble with Lana, and then Lana talking about she ain't been focusing on herself, and I don't care about Lana in the situation. It's too black to worry about Lana. Like you can fade.
Still the title. I really hope they bring Rusev back to come in and just ruin shit. Or Bobby Lashley. Like he's back.
So
and all that he's back. So the only person we really released was Zack Ryder and Primo.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going for?
So the main event was Asuka versus Charlotte. You had Sasha and Bailey at ringside. Then the Iconics, you were behind the glass. I just want to also point out though that they all had outfit changes. The only one that can't dress is Bailey, and I'm like, Bailey, you gotta step your outfit game up. Your Karen blazer is not really working for me. And then of course Nia interferes, and then Charlotte unrightfully wins. I did not like this Charlotte victory, and I speak ill of Nia Jax for allowing Charlotte to win this way. Asuka is the GOAT, and you just don't need to know. Chris, if you're going, have a good one, sir. Marcus, how did you feel about the main event? Did you care about Nia being involved in this and just?
Well, I knew she was coming out. It was only a matter of time for Nia coming out. So I was pretty sure Charlotte was getting this win. It didn't bug me that much because I believe the big game is setting up Asuka and Charlotte at SummerSlam. Because in the I have never beat you, Charlotte, in my life. Therefore, this may be the time to beat you in that SummerSlam. I feel like Nia Jax felt like old news in this show. She came out. I was expecting her to come out, but I was like, "But you're it's over. You had a week or two. We've been building up to this, but there's clear move on to Charlotte Asuka's feud. Like you saw it in the opening tag match.
He said clear move on. I've never heard that terminology. Do you agree with Marcus?
You ain't never spoke to a real nigga.
This. Oh wow. Betty, I'm just going to ignore everything that your co-host has said. Is it true that this is clear move on to Charlotte versus Asuka in this situation?
It is because I think Nia Jax needs some refining. I think Nia Jax needs to go take a trip back down to NXT and the Performance Center and just learn what it is to be a safe wrestler. And I think if she tries to put anything, Asuka will kick the shit out of her.
So you're all about the narrative that Nia is unsafe, huh? Okay.
She is unsafe.
She has a track record.
She has a track record, and then unfortunately, that's going to stick with her for a long time till she starts being safe, just like it has with Seth.
But if and let's say I was running WWE Creative, even though I would build to Charlotte Asuka, just to piss every wrestling fan off, the person that has more heat on them than Charlotte, I would give it to Nia Jax. She has absolute pure hate on there. And if you want Charlotte to be cheered, she beats Nia Jax at SummerSlam.
Overall, did you guys enjoy Raw, or did you think that it was just whatever?
Oh,
it was there. It was okay.
Yeah. I thought it was mostly the main event.
Yeah, for me, I thought compared to the other shows that WWE put on this week, I thought that Raw was probably the weakest show, and because I thought NXT took the cake in my opinion. I thought NXT started off right. I mean, NXT started out with the Undisputed Era, and it started off with Adam Cole giving much needed respect to Velveteen Dream. He put his name on the map, like he gave him his all and all. But the fact that you had Roderick Strong just freaking out, and we found so much out about Roderick Strong that he is terrified about being in trunks, and everyone knew that already. It just, I mean, and it set up a match with Dexter Lumis, and the whole theme of the night, NXT had a thing. It's like, who's going to be the next person to challenge Adam Cole? Marcus, this segment, did you enjoy Adam Cole starting off NXT?
Yeah, because this is one of the things that they haven't really done in NXT is feature Adam Cole as much. I feel like he's in the backdrop. He's rarely even in the ring. Like, he'd have backstage segments. He'd be at his pool. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish would do most of the matches, and Roderick Strong. Adam Cole is rarely actually on this show. And I feel like that's how he's been champion for so long, for over a year, is that he's rarely used. And this was a good opportunity to use him again. And they need to establish that NXT is the Adam Cole show, baby.
But that's what keeps NXT wrestlers fresh. Just like when Nakamura was down in NXT, he wasn't involved in match after match after match on TV, so you didn't get bored of him. That's what's keeping Adam Cole relevant, as well as just having the baby and the boom.
I mean, it is something.
I think 90% of it is the boom.
No, it is something about having your champion only show up on special occasions. I mean, like, you do that arguably with Brock Lesnar on so many occasions. It's just that, like, you don't want to oversaturate it. For example, you don't want to have the Cody syndrome, where Cody's wrestling every week in matches that most people just don't really care about.
He's only been doing it 2 weeks. He's only been doing
2 weeks and you're already tired of it.
You're already done. You're over it. You made it seem like he was on the past 6 months, but Cody was wrestling a very rare schedule before then.
I'm just saying, like, for me personally.
But I agree with you, Eric.
No, I just thought that it was nice seeing Adam Cole, and despite Adam Cole's stature, that is my biggest issue. He's such a small man. That man carries himself so well on the microphone that it is unprecedented of how well he articulates his point. He puts the emphasis on certain areas. It really gets you built up. I was watching NXT, and unfortunately I was watching in the bedroom, and Sharpie wife was in there because she hates when I watch wrestling, and she was like, wow, he speaks really well in this situation. So, like, he made her stop doing what she was doing to pay attention to what he was saying. And then I did like the sprinkling of Dexter Lumis popping up in the back. But what I liked most about NXT was how everybody was putting respect on the NXT title. Like, the match that was following after the Undisputed Era cut their promo and they ran to the back was the mixed tag match with Mia Yim and Keith Lee against the Garganos. But before that even happened, the Undisputed Era is kicking it at the gorilla position, and Keith Lee walks up to him, licks his lip, was like, you know, I think it's my time that I might go after your title, Adam. And I was like, oh, so we're going to tease Adam Cole versus Keith Lee? Okay, I'm down with that. Why not do that? And it's like, so you already have that in your head that Keith Lee wants the shot at the title, but at the end of the show, we find out the real person that wants the title, and we'll get there. Marcus, you like that interaction?
I did. I thought that's where we were going with next. It was like, oh, he's gonna beat Gargano in this mixed tag or whatever right now, and he's gonna eventually become Limitless Keith Lee and go after both belts. Oh, I really enjoyed all the interactions involving all the titles this week of everybody calling their shot for a title. Like, it's in every segment, everybody seemed to be like, I want that one. I want that one. Unless you were Cameron Grimes. Everybody else wanted a title.
Well, we're going to get to Cameron Grimes because that was by far one of my favorite side stories of the night. So, Manny, the Garganos got the win over the Lees. Where are we going?
Married?
Huh? Not married.
Who?
You can't call them the Lees.
Oh, Keith Lee? I thought Keith Lee and Mia Yim was married.
No, they're dating.
Oh, I thought they were married. Well, whatever.
If you want to call them as a couple, they're the Yimitless.
Yimitless.
Okay. No,
it doesn't roll off the tongue.
Actually, I'm willing to bet my life that they're married.
You gonna bet your life too?
I'm willing to do it.
That's it. All right, Manny, I already lost my life, so you can have my life. I'm taking Eric's life. I'm taking your life. Double or nothing. I'm putting my soul up against your life. There you go. Here we go. I know they ain't married. I know it. You just lost your life. I just took your life, homie. How you feel about that? You have to answer questions about how you lost your life. You had to go to work the next day with your little courthouse window and be like, damn, I lost my life.
Oh,
yeah, you lost
you
according to
lost your life, didn't you?
according to the chat, Marcus, we're dead. So Manny finally got his wish. It's just the Manny show.
Well, me taking your life.
No. Marcus has taken your life.
I'm taking your life.
You can't take my life.
No, it's too late. I'm selling your home right now. I'm giving my phone and I'm selling your home. And I want that cat and everything else in that house out of there.
but Marcus, you've already been dead. So but Marcus, you already lost your life, so you're not allowed to do this. So it's okay. No, I'm fine.
By getting your life, I am brought back to life. Manny owns my life now. I was done with that one anyway. That was already fucked up. I'm taking your life and fuck that shit up.
Speaking of lives being snatched, lives were snatched on NXT, and Ender Sewer finally came out to the ring and they dominated. And I appreciated every aspect of them dominating in this situation. I just wish that what's his name, Malcolm Bivens. I wish he had a better ring attire. I don't know what the hell he was wearing. He looked like a bad accountant.
To me, he doesn't fit with these guys. Like, he just doesn't seem like he would be with these guys. There could be any other tag team, whether it's Everrise, Breezango, and even Imperial, but I feel like these guys are just savages, and he don't fit with them. Like, he doesn't come off to me as a guy that recruits savages.
So you're willing to put Malcolm Bivens with your boys Everrise?
You
got your life back for that.
I refuse to answer my question. And Manny, you choose to get Everrise into my life, I am done with you. The Manny and Marcus show is done.
Hey, that one of the tag team members of Everrise was extremely invested in the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match because they kept cutting to his emotions.
Everrise got a win on 205 Live this week against Leon Ruff and someone else.
Bye, Tahuti Miles. God damn it.
No, Tahuti Miles was in a 6-man tag.
I think the reason why Mr. Bivens is with Ender Sewer is because he's such a small stature man. When he stand next to his tag team, they look like monsters. I actually think I'm going to like them more than I like Authors of Pain. That's just my opinion.
I think he's with them because I don't think English is their first language, and he talks perfectly.
Oh, okay. That works.
I feel like Robert Stone would be the better person for them.
Nah, man.
Robert Stone is having a midlife crisis right
now. Robert Stone is also doing some big game hunting, man. I ain't mad at Robert Stone trying to recruit Rhea Ripley. Ain't no reason for Rhea to side with him. I mean,
for a big fish.
He's
fucking around with Aaliyah.
He got the Velveteen Dream and the Kushida treatment of being thrown in the trash.
Yes. Eric Bischoff, I'm driving you off in a dump truck treatment. There's somebody. The Kalisto getting thrown in the trash. I mean, so many wrestlers been thrown in the trash. But are we talking about Robert Stone right now, or do we?
We can talk about Robert Stone right now because I feel like you have some things to say.
Oh, I feel like if this is his, I don't know who he's gonna land on as his team he manages. Maybe it's Raquel and Dakota, but I feel like he's doing the best sweet and sour Larry Sweeney impersonation I've ever seen in my life. God rest his soul.
Wow, that's an old reference right then and there.
It was. That's what I got from that.
I mean, I thought it was funny because at the same time, like, Rhea is fine, but a part of me was like, I kind of wish he would take Robert Stone because she does need a better mouthpiece. But at the same time, it took how long for Chelsea Green to get a win? And as soon as she got a win, she left his ass. So I'm just saying. and then they had to go use his pool to shoot the segment for Mandy and
Hey, do you think Chelsea Green is done? Because I feel like that was somebody that Paul Heyman called up or something. And, you know, they called her up. They were separating them to call her up. But if they don't want to use her, is she just in limbo and does she just go crawling back to Robert Stone?
We don't know. I mean, like, for me, Marcus, I don't try to predict the future of professional wrestling. I try to live in the moment. And, you know...
Okay, Jeff Hardy.
I got Robert Stone letting go Zaire.
Wow. No. Sadly, don't want nothing to do with that.
Wait a minute. When did Casey Casananza and Caden Carter become a tag team? Because they were referred to when they were running out there.
They're just best friends.
Mark, no, but Manny, they mentioned on the show that they were a tag team, and I was like, I ain't never seen a women tag team match of any importance NXT, and because that's what she lost to Dakota Kai, and then but I had this question. I put this in my notes, and you made me jump, Marcus and Manny. You guys can answer this. Maybe I can get my life back because I think the answer is no. But has Casey Catanzaro ever won a match?
Nope. I don't think he has.
My life has been reinstated because I was right.
No, it doesn't work like that.
And Grunge Smurf,
I own your life. I own your life. I didn't give it back.
I think Mercedes Martinez was just a brief experiment in NXT. I don't think she was brought in. She might even be a backstage worker. She might have been a cheaper version of the female trainer that they had in NXT. I can't remember her name right now.
They can bring her back. Who knows?
Sarah Del Rey.
Yeah, Sarah Del Rey. Marcus, in my notes, I also put Caden Carter is Casey's partner, and then I put question mark for what? Like, I don't know what they do. I've always thought that Caden Carter was a singles wrestler.
I wouldn't mind if they were a tag team. They do need more women tag team into this company, even though I believe the best women's tag team right now might be Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. And it's mostly because Raquel, as Eric quoted, is the best big woman in the game.
Thank you.
Which has never been said. Which I don't believe she is.
With that being said, also let's get into also the best big woman in the game, Mr. Damian Priest, because he was wearing Rhea Ripley's pants in your house for whatever reason. But he was cutting a promo talking about, you know what? Yeah, Finn got the best of me. I respect the man. You know, he was giving a very respectful promo that, you know, my boy Mr. Cameron Grimes walks in and
Cameron Grimes.
Rightfully so.
I do whatever I want.
I haven't showered in 4 weeks.
I can't come up with a better gimmick than this hat.
With that being said, he got punched in his mouth for interrupting. And the thing that I enjoyed the most about this was this motherfucker tried to use this punch in the mouth to get out of fighting Finn. For one reason, it made perfectly good sense. I've already beat Finn. I don't need to fight him again. He gonna get my ass. Second, my favorite was when he was hollering at this random tall black NXT girl, like, hey girl, you know what's going on. You know, I'm injured and things and stuff. And then the referee
was fine.
She was fine. She was attractive. So I was like, go ahead, Cameron.
You're always in the crowd. You're like, who's that?
I'm like,
because whenever you see her in the crowd, you think that's Caden Carter, but it's not.
No, she's taller, a lot taller.
El Luchador is right.
Got.
Damian Priest does look like that dude at the club, like, hey, you got some coke? Oh, okay, I'm gonna keep it moving, man. Keep it moving. But when the referee had to walk, like the whole time, I realized the referee is walking with the iPad with William Regal on there. So William Regal is looking at his screen, seeing the iPad jiggle, just to find Cameron Grimes, just to tell him, oh, you fighting tonight, no matter what your mouth is. I'm just saying.
Are you still supporting the Cameron Grimes train? You're still on the Grime time.
I like Grimy, Marcus.
Yeah, but that's his too. So it's Xylee and then Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's entertaining. Do I think he should ever hold gold in NXT? I'm not sure, but for what he's worth, I mean, him hollering at them girls gave me personality that I ain't seen from Grimy in a long time. Just saying. You know what happens.
You know, Damian Priest should have walked off with the girls on his arm in arm, by the way. He seemed like the kind of guy, he seemed like he's Mr. Steal Your Girl, even though he is just probably a coke addict.
A couple of little points I would like to touch on. I thought Breezango's promo was pretty good to build up the match against them in Imperium. I also thought I'm intrigued by the Thatcher training that will begin next week. So I don't know who he's training. It's like he got people in the fight pit. So maybe the fight pit might just be his match. All his matches will take place in the fight pit. I don't know. But we do need to talk about, you guys mentioned it earlier, the arrival of Santos Escobar. And I have to say it that way. What?
I was gonna do the show in a mask And then it's revealed that I am Santos Escobar. I totally forgot. Hold on, I can still do this with the glasses. Hold on, guys. I am not El Hilo Fantasma. I am Marcus the Grand Finale, aka Santos Escobar. Like, anybody can be Santos Escobar.
So the greatest thing about it for me is that, like, the whole thing about people who are masked luchadors, I think we all realize that they're a real person underneath the mask. So when they signed a contract, I'm assuming he signed as Santos Escobar. I don't think he was signing his contract as El Hijo del Fantasma, because that's a long name to write. So
could you imagine if Rico was like, your contract's void now?
Yeah.
I was duped. We don't have an interim cruiserweight champion now. We need to have another tournament to find out who the interim cruiserweight champion is, because I don't know who you are. I signed El Hilo del Fantasma.
Not Santos Escobar. For me, personally and professionally speaking, if there was one person that deserved an ass whooping, that was Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick has been trying to take the shine away from Santos Escobar. First, he got his contract signed, and so nobody was talking about him winning the Cruiserweight Championship. Then Santos Escobar, he's about to cut his promo as El Hijo de Fantasma, and then this motherfucker interrupts him to say, I have respect for you. I don't give a damn about your respect. This was my celebration. So yeah, I am looking forward to the Joaquin Wilde, Roland Mendoza, and Santos Escobar faction. I look forward to this. Manny, were you happy with the turn of events?
I don't know how I feel about this yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about this yet.
If I listen to them,
I know I had comments about how the double splash I didn't like on the Marcus and Manny episode 2, but
well, I think the reason why you didn't like it is because you didn't see it. All you saw was two guys falling on a body that was not that big, and I'm like, I'm not impressed by this double splash. Like,
well, he snapped his neck. It was a three-way move. You miss it. It's a three-way move. They do was a splash, and then Escobar snaps the dude's neck with his feet. I'm just saying, it was a three-way move. I love these guys. I'm in love with these guys. They're my favorite. I don't know what they're going to call themselves. I hope it's like the Narcos, the Cartel, the Sicarios, whatever. I want them to just be criminals.
So let me understand, Marcus. So we're trying to fight for racial equality and not having stereotypes and stuff like that. So you're going to give your Latin faction the gimmick of being Scarface and drug cartel. Really? Marcus, you're part of the problem, man. You're part of the problem.
Wait a minute. I could have been like our president and called them murderers and rapists.
But you're going to call them drug dealers, sir. Just saying.
Hey, drug dealer is a profession that...
Eric, I'm not going to lie. I was very close to making that joke like 2 minutes before he said it.
I mean, I understand. His last name is Escobar. First thing you think of Escobar, you think of drugs. But we got to move. We got to be...
You don't think about Escobar, the wrestler? Remember the one who was with Mickey Girl for like a week?
Grunt Smurf, they don't know what the name of the Marcus and Manny show is. They don't have a name. They just know that they excluded me from it.
The untitled Marcus and Manny show that does not feature Eric, the salty bastard.
Is that the new title? Is that the title we're running with on Tuesday?
So, the way that NXT ended, a match happened, but we all just need to talk about that. Scarlett came down to the ring. She came down with one of the biggest hourglasses I've ever seen. And she turned that shit over, letting Adam Cole know that the time is ticking. His time is stopped. So, Marcus, my question for you. Of all the people competing against Adam Cole for the championship, do you want to be Cross, Lee, or, we need to mention Finn is going after Lee because he ain't never had that title. Finn just said, I'm going after that title after he beat up Cameron Grimes. Marcus, as you put your fat fingers in the screen, who do you want to face Adam Cole?
Well, I'm a little confused at the moment because I don't know. I was excited about the Keith Lee Adam Cole thing. I've been wanting to see them fight since he pounced him into the crowd. I was excited about that. And then that time, I think Keith Lee did fight for the title and lost. I was excited for that one. Then I was like, Keith Lee and Finn Balor, count me in. He can't fight Walter. Why not fight Keith Lee? That makes sense. And then the ending happened, And then Adam Cole and Karrion Kross. I wanted Karrion Kross and Adam Cole, so I'm confused on what I want. But I would say the ending was fantastic.
Marcus, my question for you though: do you think it's too soon for Karrion Kross to be in the title picture?
No, I think he's hot. He's hot right now. He's what you want. And Adam Cole has to lose eventually. They're not going to lose to the next takeover. Who knows when the hell that's going to take place? And you can always have that TikTok sand going around. So if Adam Cole does go against Keith Lee in the process here, or it's some vice versa Finn Balor situation, I think time will expire enough that you'll be like, this guy's ready for the belt. And then most of the NXT people just come in and get titles. Shinsuke, Finn, they all just got the title right away. Bobby was champion. Drew McIntyre.
I don't think Finn got the title right away. I know Drew did.
Oh yeah, he got it right away. He had a tag match with
Kenta,
Hideo Katana. Yeah, they teamed up for like one takeover. The next takeover over, Finn Balor's fighting for the belt.
The days of our lives. Manny, do you agree with Marcus' sentiment, or do you have a different take?
Keith Lee versus Adam Cole. Baby, I need Keith Lee to be a world champion. That guy is world champion ready. If you want to move Adam Cole on, you give the belt to Keith Lee. He's the guy. He's the face currently to lead that company forward.
Now here's my question: would you rather for Keith Lee to drop that North American title and go to the main roster and win a major title there, or would you rather for him to stay in NXT and be the North American champion?
I want him to stay in NXT for a bit longer, establish himself, but I want him to get the NXT title, establish himself as a top guy, and then move over as a top guy, not just be a bit part player for the main roster.
So Manny,
because I feel like if he gets the NXT title, he's gonna lose it real quick, only to go to the main roster. Because I feel like it's only a matter of time before Vince says, "Come on, man, get up here. You're too big to be down there with these little kids. You gotta fight with the grown man, where the big boys play."
Manny, I have a question for you, and this is gonna put you in a very difficult situation. I'm actually gonna put you on a full screen because I need to have your answer. Because Grudge Smurf mentioned a name in the chat, and I'm curious: Keith Lee or Walter?
For what?
For to be your next NXT champion.
I think I would like Walter to be the next NXT champion, but he needs to establish himself in America because I don't think they're very high on him on the American side of things. But NXT UK, they're very high on Walter, and he produces incredible matches with everyone he's been in. And if you're bored during this lockdown and time, go back and watch some Walter matches. They are incredibly hard hitting matches.
I enjoy Walter. Well, how you say his name. Marcus, who's your pick? Keith Lee, Cross, Walter, or somebody that we haven't named?
For what? What am I picking him for? To be the NXT champion? Or am I just picking him as if we were doing like a draft and I had to take one of these wrestlers?
I guess who's the new champion when Adam Cole has to give up his title reign? Who would you like to see carry the torch?
I'd probably rather see Walter over Keith Lee.
I would agree because
my problem with Keith Lee.
I was gonna say something, but we're still doing the Marcus show.
No. You don't get to talk, okay? You don't get to talk. You don't get to talk, all right? You talked enough on this show. I haven't talked all week, okay? Oh, the problem with Keith Lee is he's too damn soft. He doesn't have that "I'm gonna kill you" look on him. Like there's times when he shows displays of it, but most of the time he's too soft. Him trying to take care of Candice after she died in the ring, which was probably my favorite moment of the show, is Candice being dead. Him trying to save her, and then Gargano throwing his wife out of the ring so he can get that pinfall, and then carry her dead body away. But he's too soft. I need a killer. And that's what Keith Lee needs to turn into before I give him any world title. A killer.
In the chat, they have mentioned the name, and I'm wearing the man's shirt right now, Velveteen. I will point out, I don't think Velveteen Dream is long for the world of NXT. I think he's going to the main roster. I think he's going to make the jump like Matt Riddle did. I don't see Velveteen as the man like pushing the needle for that NXT championship. And I would like to see both Lee and Dream get called up to the main roster where they may get put to the backfield, but I think they have big star mentality already. With that being said, I think that's all I have to say about NXT. And I guess there's only one thing left to talk about, and that's where big star mentality lives, and that's the home of Cody Rhodes. That's where AEW, where the big boys play. What other tag?
Define big boys.
I don't know. But AEW. I'm pretty sure well that you guys probably gave your take about AEW this week, and
but I've reevaluated my take.
Luckily, because I didn't listen to the Marcus and Manny show that takes place on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I don't know what your take was. So whatever take that you give will be the take that I know. With that being said, why did Chris Jericho join the commentating team this week? Manny, do you have an answer for me?
Why not? He's easily the best commentator they have. When you had 4 men in that booth, he's the best one. You got JR and his stumbling self. He can't even make his own point without sounding sarcastic about everything.
Yeah, he made valid points this week.
I mean, he did a lot of hollering. So, Marcus, I'm assuming you enjoyed Jericho on the commentating also.
I enjoy Jericho commentating. My problem with AEW, and this is one of their major problems right here, is that they have something. People like something, but then they have to cater to the crowd to keep giving them that stuff. So when Jericho was on commentary, it was because of COVID reasons that they didn't want to travel JR and Excalibur to the trip. But now that people liked it so much, they brought Jericho back for fan service, basically. Even though I enjoy him on commentary, it just was too many people. It was too many people, and I saw myself not caring about 90% of the people there. If you just gave me JR Jericho or Shivani Jericho, I would be happy. They hired way too many commentators. But Taz is a commentator. And
Shivani and Jericho worked out.
Yeah. It works 100% better, but they can't do it because they're paying JR a bunch of money. Well, they paid Taz to be a commentator, and now he has to manage because they have way too many commentators. They overbooked the commentators. They got more commentators than they actually have main event talent.
They kind of overbook everything in AEW. With that being said, let's talk about the debut of FTR. This was their
What was your opinion on it?
What? Other than for me, Jericho on commentary, I have issues because he is the top heel in their company. I think he's the biggest bad guy in their company, and unfortunately, when he does commentary, he comes across extremely too likable. And to so many ways, it kind of diminishes his role as being the leader of the inner circle. But
isn't everything the inner circle do is kind of like something the fans like? It's kind of this comedy routine, whether it's them doing a flim flam dance or giving out gifts to each other or whatever celebration they have, selling the bubbly. Doesn't seem it's all fan service. I feel like he doesn't depart too much from his character, except for like some random matches.
Manny, you've put your hand up.
I think it's more Jericho. If Jericho wasn't in the inner circle, none of that stuff would. Everyone would hate on all that stuff. Everyone would be tired of all that stuff already. Jericho is over regardless. So like anything he does, so he could take a crap in the ring, and people would be like, "Oh, it's Chris Jericho. He's moving the needle. He took a dump in the ring." I honestly think Chris Jericho. I honestly think Chris Jericho is bigger than AEW.
He is.
For the people in the chat, I'm about to put this comment on the live stream just so everyone can read this by Weston B. Moore. He says they have more commentators than they have black wrestlers. Yeah.
Let's get back to Dr. Bates.
And I don't know if it's I don't know if they use that, but the thing is, you're right. Everything that Jericho touches does make it better. He made the commentating team better, but the thing is like when Jericho decides to go back to WWE, what are they going to do? What are they going to do?
You think he's going back?
Come on, man. You know it.
They talked about the Intercontinental title this week and the prestigious Intercontinental title, and didn't mention the all-time winner of the Intercontinental title, Chris Jericho.
Well, because he's with the competition.
It's a bad blood right now.
No, Vince ain't got no bad blood with Jericho. As soon as that contract is up, he can jump right back on it. Marcus, your boys made. Marcus, your boys made they did. What? Go.
Well, the last thing we talked about taking the shit in the ring. There's only one way to do this, right? You put the little curtain up like the pin, because we already did the pin in the ring. Jericho sitting in the ring will be the next step. You put the curtain up, he takes a shit, and then somebody throws it into somebody's face. I'm just saying that's the next step of wrestling.
You know,
Mark, get it on the West Coast feed.
You
should, on the live feed, I'm all there for that.
Marcus, maybe you should take a page from your co-host and have some decorum and raise your hand when you have a point that you want to make. Because clearly you just want to overtalk me. This is my show, sir. Wow. Just going to get us demonetized before we even get monetized.
You can put the censors up. You can put the censor up.
No, I can't.
Watch my finger disappear. You could. Just go to images and get that blurry image and put it over it.
You could take your video away.
I'm trying to conduct a show right here, and I'm trying not to be not professional like some people on this show.
I'm a professional. The last person on the Manny and Marcus show every Tuesday and Thursday said I was the professional one. Okay?
I just thought you were the one that but we're not going to be here. With that being said, FTR made their debut.
Okay.
Marcus has always been a big supporter of the Revival, aka FTR, and they were going against my formal tag team of like that. The Blade and the Butcher. They no longer have the bunny because she's too busy trying to fuck QT Marshall for some reason. With that being said,
they're not trying. They're not trying.
Marcus. Did you? Wow. Your maturity level is just taking a hold down.
Well, you wanted to make fun of my previous hand gesture. I thought I'd do one more.
Manny, we're never gonna make any money. We're just let you know, because Mark is at his maturity level. So I'm gonna go to Manny. Manny, were you satisfied with the debut with FTR against the Blade and the Butcher?
Yeah, this is where on the second episode of the Manny and Marcus show, I stated that AEW started off strong with the way they started, but then I felt we'll get into it, but I did feel like they finished quite weak. They missed the dunk.
It was an alley hoop and dunk. So are you going to me now?
Yes. You just gonna start talking. You wouldn't let me throw it to you. You just start talking.
That's true. I don't wait for nobody to pass me the ball. I snatch that son of a bitch. Call me Kobe. But so I really enjoyed this match, and I thought this is what the Revival brings to the table, and I also thought this is what the Butcher and the Blade brings to the table. If they would utilize their tag teams like this more, and not have everybody doing the same tag match of flip spots, flip, whatever Randy Orton hates, it would make the tag division more unique and better, and I feel like that's what the Revival did, FTR did today. My problem was after the match. But Eric, I'll pass it on to you. With
that being said, after Marcus has been the most disrespectful individual in the whole world of podcasting, of live streaming, for me, I watched the match. The match happened. It was a traditional, ground and pound match, no flips, just fist. The thing for me is that it was okay, but then I asked myself this question: will this match work in the AEW environment? And I just don't think that they will give the AEW crowd. They will not respect this ground and pound style because no one respected the Blade and the Butcher. So what makes me think that they're going to respect FTR? And then the clusterfuck of having all the tag teams come out afterwards when the only team that should have came out was a team that FTR disrespected. The Young Bucks just didn't make any more sense. It's like you're trying to build up a tag division, but at the same time you tear it down by having everybody get beat up by the people who just show up. And so, I mean, I wish them the best in their endeavor, but I just don't know if they're going to...
you just fired them.
I just don't know if you can... When you have, like, the Young Bucks, you have Cody, and you have Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega seems like the only individual who understands the idea of not putting himself in the spotlight. Like, Kenny Omega is taking that back seat. The Young Bucks, if they didn't get hurt with the garage, they would be in the spotlight. Cody is definitely in the spotlight. And that's the fundamental flaw for me with AEW.
Well, I disagree with you on the Kenny Omega not putting himself in the spotlight. He does it, but
Then how
how
do you disagree if you disagree with what I just said? I don't understand. You disagree with me to agree.
I'm disagreeing with the other part. The wrong words came out of my mouth, all right? I already lost my life to Manny, okay? I got your life, so that's why I'm all fucked up right now, okay? I'm trying to figure things out. But
maybe with my life you can host better.
Oh.
Let me sip my tea.
I don't know. You haven't got any views for your shows, but me and Manny got all the views.
I don't have views because I don't have the right talent on my show.
We are the talent.
That's all I gotta say.
The only thing that's different is you and your Velveteen shirt. I'm just saying, there's too many bald guys on this show, and there's too many bald guys with facial hair on this show, and there's too many bald guys with facial hair with headphones on. I'm just saying, there may be too many guys. With that being said, the Young Bucks, I feel like, have actually took a back seat. They featured in the Lucha Bros match, but they haven't actually really fought for those titles. They took a dive to the private party. They haven't beat anybody. I feel like they've taken the backseat. They had that one title match with Omega and Page, which was a really good match. So I feel like they haven't did anything.
But they're always looming in the background. There's always that undertone.
They are one of the top tag. They were one of the top tag teams in the world.
You're gonna either agree with Marcus or you're gonna agree with me. What you about to say, Manny? I'm curious.
I'm very concerned about the fact that the Young Bucks took credit for leading the tag division across the world for the last 15 years. I don't think they have. I think they've made a small dent in it. Money-wise, they've commercialized it. They've made a ton of money from it. They understand all the social aspects of it. But I don't think they've carried division. I don't particularly enjoy that type of wrestling.
And for me, and Marcus knows this, and if anyone who's ever listened to the show, I have not been a big fan of the Young Bucks. I don't like their style of wrestling, and I just feel like the whole dream match was always the whole thing, fuck the Revival because they're more fits. Like, the whole Revival gimmick was built on taking shots at the style of wrestling that the Young Bucks created. And so now that you have them there, it's just kind of like, And yeah, those jumpsuits, the Nightmare Family jumpsuits are fire, chat room. I'm just to let you guys know. Because I respect you on the Sharpshooters podcast, unlike Marcus does in the Manny and Marcus show. I respect the chat room. With that being said, we'll see. I don't like FTR. I'm not. What did he say?
I said you're SmackDown. You're a B show.
Whatever.
We're Raw. We're Monday Night Raw, all right? So I'm going to chime in and say
I'm Monday Night Raw because my show is 3 hours long.
And some people will say it's too long.
Yeah.
It's too long. And it's too much.
And the only reason why it's long is because you don't shut the fuck up.
That's it. I'm pulling my dick out and get your show canceled.
It's probably not big. It's probably not big enough to cancel this show though.
Oh.
Ooh, I don't have a comeback.
Do you know what that was? That was a fatality. So.
Yeah. He won. You won. All right, you happy?
Ooh. Let's rewind back in time when we all got along.
So, back to a time when we got along. I feel like that would make the Revival and Young Bucks feud work, is that they were the Clash of Styles and that they did have this ongoing rivalry from the, time before. All they do is flip. All you guys do is keep it on the ground and have real psychology in your wrestling matches. I can't wait for the match. My problem with the segment is everybody else showing up. That the other tag team showed up, and the fact that anybody in AEW, if you try to do an interview, you get interrupted. The Revival had their first interview last week, interrupted by the Butcher and the Blade. They tried to talk again this week. Here come the Young Bucks. And then the Young Bucks try to talk in their interview. They're interrupted by Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. And just chaos ensues, and I don't need that. I just need the Young Bucks and the Revival to go head-to-head against each other with the mics, and then in the ring. See all the hand gesturing? I don't know if it all picked up.
Another issue that I have with AEW is I feel like poor Sheeta is working too much as a champion because right after this segment, we get another tag match. We get Nyla Rose teaming up with Penelope Ford, who JR apparently has a hard-on for Penelope Ford for whatever reason. Teaming up going
As
against...
he should.
I mean, he should, but in the Me Too... But in the Me Too era, you might not want to talk about how fuckable somebody is. Like, oh yeah, she really get me going. I'm just saying.
He said it like that.
That's what it sounds like to me.
My dick was hard. I'm gonna stick it in her, whether she likes it or not. He did not say that.
They were going to get Statlander and Sheeta, and for me, I'm getting tired of these meaningless tag team matches that they have in the women's division. You need to establish your roster. You need to have more singles competition for me. Like even the match last week had Big Swole versus Nyla Rose, and all that was just to showcase Britt Baker again. And I felt that they were doing that again with this match. It didn't work.
They have 5 women. They have 5 women wrestlers, and one of them got hurt, so they're down to 4. So this was the entire division. They don't have a division to display right now. They don't have it. And I thought this was a solid match, but was it the best match? No. I mean, maybe one day we get Yuki Sakazaki and Riho back to give them 6 women wrestlers, but this was their, obviously, we have to have a woman segment on the show. They only get 1. So, this is it.
I think this match was plagued, and I'm using my hands to talk right here, by the booking style of AEW, because Nyla Rose hit an epic knee smash off the top rope on Sheeta and Statlander, and then it was completely a no-sell on Sheeta part, because directly after that move, she had the rally and the comeback, and it just, I just didn't like that. I need them to sell a little bit more. Manny, am I asking too much from AEW to ask for people to sell?
Eric, they live in a world where they don't sell. That's the type of wrestling they do. I'm glad, first of all, that FTR are there, because they will probably sell a lot harder for most people than they would for the other guys. The only thing I liked about this was you could see the amount that Nyla Rose had really good tag chemistry with Penelope Ford, and you also had Chris Jericho still on commentary, and when the alien came out, and then he saw Pineapple Pete, and he was in mid-sentence, and then he realized he saw Pineapple Pete, and he was like, "That's Pineapple Pete! Knock him out! I hate that guy!"
Cheap shot him. But one of the things in this match I just not like, or I don't like, and it continues
just
to be
not like. I don't even know what word that is.
The shit I hate. You want me to cuss? That's what I'm trying to stop myself from saying. The referee should have DQ'd this match. Kip Sabian clearly cheats. He's clearly looking at him. He goes, "What are you doing?" And they look at each other for a minute. He refuses not to throw him out. Shows out the Sheeta or whoever gets the pin, and it's over. And I'm like, or Penelope Ford, it should have been DQ in there.
But my thing is, like, Penelope Ford got this win. Her and Nyla Rose. Where do we go from here? I mean, like,
she's the number 1 contender. They booked WWE style. You beat the champion, you get a title shot. That's just the way it works, baby.
Then we got the Darby Allin and Tony Hawk vignette. I mean, I guess it's name dropping. Tony Hawk, he's getting a new video game out. I mean, they're spending a lot of money with these promotional ads. Marcus, you jump back like you were offended by that.
No, I'm offended by this segment.
Oh.
It's just a weird flex.
Like, it's a weird flex. Was like,
we got Tony Hawk here. He's jumping off a ladder, and he's not medically clear, so I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about this.
No, like the thing.
I normally like Darby's videos.
The thing for me,
I thought the one he was playing poker was cool and stuff. And this is garbage.
Darby also has a magical jacket that allowed him to land that trick like the first time.
And then,
just like how Finn has now been given a magical glove.
Well, the thing about it is that, like, we all know about video editing. I'm not going to show you all the times that I failed jumping off this ladder. This was not a live feed. You could have cut all the failed attempts out and made it seem like you got it on the first try. You're fucking by Tony Hawk. Like, Tony Hawk was probably like, man, this fool ain't going to never leave this trick, man. They didn't pay me enough to be here for this.
Well, they were showing that Darby's tough, Eric, and that he can fall down and get back up. But I wonder how long Tony Hawk was just sitting there going like, oh, shit. This is still going on, and I really need this money. Do I really need this? They're coming out with a new Tony Hawk game. I don't think I need this money.
So afterwards, we got the Baker vignette about her being the role model. I mean, for me, I understand why they're pushing Baker, but at the same time, she can't fight, so I don't understand why they're pushing Baker. Like, she's a star in their company.
5 women on the roster.
That's true.
That's it. She's out.
No, don't they have that Brazilian woman now as well?
Not under contract, probably.
The chat room is off the chain. El Luchador said that Wes is the Sharpie Street correspondent. I can see Wes. This is Weston Bieber out on the street. Shit is fire right now. So the Inner Circle versus the Best Friends. All we need to talk about is that the Inner Circle beat down Orange Cassidy with a 20-pound bag of blood oranges. Personally, for me, I would prefer
20 pounds.
I wish it was a 20-pound bag of crisp apples, but whatever. You know, that's just how I am in the situation.
Apples hurt like hell.
Goddamn right they do. That's why you got to use the apples. Forget an orange. Orange can be soft.
He freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. It makes sense that you beat it with those. This was a premeditated attack. And how did they know it was 20 pounds of oranges? And by the way, Orange Cassidy is turning Trent and Chucky T into Tucker Knight. Because he's the only thing in that little faction that's worth the damn.
I'm going to say this right now. And Orange Cassidy is the best thing in their whole little promotion. He's the one thing that when he's on the camera, I watch now. And I hated Orange Cassidy, but his little his segment in the match stood out. And then also the flip that Santana did stood out. I wish Santana Ortiz would break away from the Inner Circle and focus more on being a great tag team. Just like I wish Orange Cassidy would dump Chucky T and focus on being a better partner with Trent Beretta. That's just how I look at it in this situation. Manny, how do you agree?
Wait a minute. You're just I thought they were both going to go to wayside. You just want to give me a Chucky T.
Yes, I do. I hate Chucky T.
I have nothing else to say about this match that we haven't already said on the Manny and Marcus show on Thursday.
So once again,
I liked that he used the orange. The only thing I didn't mention was shout out to Chris Jericho to biting into that orange and not removing the skin.
There's a lot of vitamins in that. So clearly,
back to your comment, Eric. Jericho or Orange Cassidy? Who's the AEW MVP? You're really going Orange Cassidy over Jericho?
As of right now, yes. I think Orange Cassidy is the bigger star. It's the reason why he had the #1 selling shirt in their company. He
also has the highest rated segments too.
He's the only thing that is different from everything else in WWE. And when he gets in the match and he starts delivering, he wrestles. The only thing that's holding him back is Chucky T. That's it.
And by the way, to piggyback off a comment you made earlier about the revival, that you don't know if the crowd will get behind the revival. They get behind a man that puts his hands in his pockets and throw the weakest kickers in the game. They get behind anything at AEW. Like we said, if someone took a shit in the middle of the ring, they would cheer.
That is also true. Are you guys excited about the match that we're getting next week? Because for whatever reason, they were going to interview the Gun Club, but MJF interrupted Billy Gunn, and now we're getting MJF versus Billy. Oh, wow. Wow. Did you guys not touch on this on the Manny and Marcus show? Is this something you guys didn't talk about?
We talked about it, but, we still fresh in your mind.
That made Manny take a seat back and just, I don't need this. MJF was speaking facts. Why doesn't he have any type of title shot? He is winning left and right, but yet he's continued fighting scumbags like Billy Gunn next week. Marcus, you don't look like you have an answer. Manny, what you got?
So, I did take notes for AEW. I wrote down never trust a man, i.e. MJF, that has a beard, that doesn't have a mustache. But then I also thought back to NXT. Escobar has tassels on his boots. And I can't trust men with tassels on their boots ever since Tatanka sold out to the $1 Million Man back in 1994 or 5 or whenever it was.
He set every Native American back that day.
So Manny, let me just point out, you got to give Escobar some time, because Escobar on this edition of NXT was dressed as El de Hijo de Fantasma. Now, that character may have tassels on his boots. I'm confident that Santos Escobar does not have tassels on his boots. Just saying.
Did you speak to a guy?
Only Xbox is speaking to me right now.
Sources close to me tell me, I feel like you can get away with anything by saying that. Sources close to me tell me that Santos Escobar has 0 tassels on his boots. That's what I'm saying.
And El Luchador TV, I agree with you. I think right after Orange Cassidy, MJF is a future star, but they don't book him like a star. They have him down here fucking wrestling Billy Gunn. Who needs a Billy Gunn match in 2020? Hasn't enough bad stuff happened already? Come on, Marcus, what you got to say?
What do you mean? It's not going to be horrendous. I think next week...
It is!
Hold on. I'm going to say that match, and I'm calling my shot right now, and I want my life back. Manny, I'll bet you Eric's life for my life back. Yeah. I'm going to say MJF and Billy Gunn are going to have a better match than whatever Cody planned on doing next week.
I don't think Cody's having a match next week.
Oh, he has to. He has to.
No,
he's defending it every week.
Remember, the whole show was built around and said Cody's going to have a match next week. And then, after his match, Jake Hager came out and he was like, oh, I know. And JR was like, I know what this is about. He's going to challenge me for next week. I'll challenge you at Fighter Fest. And JR was like, I guess not.
I guess my question that I have is that what does Billy Gunn's son do? Does he fight? I mean, what does he do?
He wears Sheeta's jacket. That's it. That's every time I see him in the crowd, he's wearing Sheeta's jacket.
It's both guns. I think he has 2 kids out there.
The ugly one, and then the slightly alright looking one.
There were 2 things.
They're training to be wrestlers.
There were 2 things that happened on AEW this week that I did enjoy that are not that important. So I'm just gonna have a brief mention. I enjoyed when they showed the audience, and I saw Arn Anderson, and I saw Tully Blanchard, and I even saw Jake the Snake out there taking notes. I mean, they are the player coaches in this game, so I mean that's a nice thing that they're actually watching it because they got so many empty seats.
Did you see Sean Spears shooting lasers in the back of Tully's head? That's all he was staring at. He was sitting further back than all of them while they were taking notes, and he was just staring deaf into the back of Tully's head.
Well, maybe they're gonna get rid of there as a faction because I don't know what they're really doing.
Because we gave him that glove.
We had the SSN network, a weightlifting glove that you can buy from Pick and Save or Big Lots for like $5. That glove ain't gonna give you the power. It just ain't gonna give you the power that you need. Also, I was very excited that my favorite tag team in AEW, Kip Sabian and Mr. Havoc, they have a name, and I love their tag team name, the Super Bad Death Squad. I love when you put Death Squad in there. Now they're super bad. Fuck the Death Triangle. Fuck the Death Triangle. I'm behind the Super Bad Death Squad. That's just me.
You can't have 2 deaths in your factions. You can't have a Death Triangle and a Death Squad.
Death Triangle ain't never coming back.
Fight in a death match.
The 2 parts of the triangle can't even get into America, so are they much of a triangle at the moment?
Nope. So, Super Bad Death Squad.
Well,
that's my crew.
All of them have problems. I don't know where Pentagon is, but I know Pat can't get in the country, and I know that Ray Phoenix broke his back because they can't catch nobody in this company.
So, as one of the least compelling segments of AEW this week, that was the match of Sammy Guevara versus Colt Cabana because they had too many side missions going on with the match. First side mission is after Sammy defeated Colt Cabana, we have the situation where Matt Hardy interrupts Sammy Guevara and tries to convince him that, you know what, you should leave the inner circle. You could be so much better by yourself. And I'm like, Matt Hardy, aren't you busy trying to coach the private party? Why are you trying to interfere with Sammy Guevara's situation? Marcus, did you like Matt giving advice to Sammy in this?
Well, I like Sammy Guevara getting the win over Colt Cabana. And I like, that Sammy seems like he has something to him. I don't think he needs Matt Hardy involved in his storyline or even Broken Matt coming out. When Broken Matt came out, I was like, man, this is Jump the Shark years ago. I am done with this. And so, other than that, it was like, is Matt Hardy getting to the manager game? Maybe, I don't know, but Sammy needs to leave him alone.
Do you agree with Marcus, Manny?
Yeah, they've just definitely got too much going on. Like Matt Hardy needs to stick to one thing. He can't have his hands in so many different baskets.
And then for me, like, you have this segment, but then also you have something that they glossed over. We're getting a whole pitch of the Dark Order going after Colt Cabana because he keeps losing and things like this. And so he loses this match. And I felt like the return of Evil Uno and Mr. Grayson was not made big enough. Where have they been all this time? I really need to know. Like, it just... Like, all of a sudden, they just pop back up and everything is fine. And next thing you know, you watch Colt Cabana walking into the Dark Order's locker room. I could care less if he joins the Dark Order. Manny, do you care?
No, because Colt Cabana will always be known as CM Punk's friend. And that is it. And at best, a comedy wrestler. I don't understand what he needs from the Dark Order. Why we should care. It's not like it's some Daniel Bryan kind of thing where he's joining the Wyatt family or anything. It's just leave it alone.
I just feel like in this situation, Marcus, I'm going to throw it to you real quick. I feel like the Dark Order has the worst scouting report of who to get. First, you go after Christopher Daniels. You failed at that. Now you're going after Colt Cabana. You're going after former washed-up Ring of Honor stars as Marcus check his watch, Marcus. Marcus,
I have a meeting in an hour.
Okay, we're going to be done. We're going to be done, Marcus. Don't worry about it.
No, they sent me a text. It was like, hey, let's go.
Can me and Manny join the meeting? We can bring some spice to it. But Marcus, the recruiting techniques of the Dark Order are just really bad. Brian Cage was out and available. Why can't he be put in the Dark Order? What's going on, Marcus? Tell me.
They're going after losers to build them up, Eric. It's like a cult. You don't go after people you can get. You go after people who are stupid and are losers. And I wasn't as upset about this segment. Do I care if Colt Cabana joined the Dark Order? No. But I thought it seemed like the Dark Order was getting back on track to what they were before they were just a Vince McMahon parody.
So, Marcus...
At least they got back on track. And it was nice seeing them all together, even though it wasn't made into a big deal.
Let me tell you something, Marcus. And no, actually, let me tell you something, brother. I get that they're going after losers. I feel like there was a better loser to go after, and that loser had one of the most compelling segments of the entire episode of AEW. And I'm talking about my boy, Joey Janela, who was drinking in the bar and all of a sudden walked out the bar drunk and got into the G-Ride with Sonny Kiss. I don't know what happened after they got into that car together. I don't know if this is a formation of a tag team or formation of a love affair. I'm not sure what it is. At the same time, I was compelled, and I'm excited for next week to find out what happens with Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Because, goddammit, that's another black person on television in AEW, and they need it.
There are far too many alcoholics in AEW. There are more alcoholics in AEW than black people. So, with Joey Janela drinking at this bar and refusing to high-five the bartender and walking off into Sonny Kiss, the segment should end. There shouldn't be a to be continued. If Sonny Kiss was a good person, he would just drive Joey Janela back to his hotel or home. Instead, are we getting the whole adventure of a night out, or are they going to sleep together? I don't know where we're going with this, but let me tell you this, brother. I am 100% intrigued.
Is this going to be your hot take for episode 4 on Thursday of the Marcus and Manny show?
Manny, were you excited about this?
No. To be honest, I wanted to gloss over it, but here we are.
Doesn't gloss over AEW. He glosses over every show, but AEW. We covered that one in full. Which I know is his favorite show of the week. Pause.
With that being said, there's only 2 more things to talk about in AEW, and I wasn't. Oh my God. And because I was gonna gloss over it, but since you say I talk about everything, I guess I gotta talk about everything. I was gonna talk about the random attack of Brian Cage on Jon Moxley in the parking lot.
It wasn't random. It really looked premeditated.
El Luchador said Joey and Sonny fucking.
They did. And, it happened. And, yeah. I think that's where they should go with that. I enjoyed Moxley's promo, and I enjoyed Taz coming out there going, I hear you talking all this bullshit about my trailer. I gotta hear this shit. And then he comes up with the attack, and then car windows are easily destroyed in pandemic era of wrestling because everybody destroys cars. And you know what? For what it was, I enjoyed the segment. Other than Brian Cage still looks stupid to me.
Who did it better? Who went through the car window better? Adam Cole or Jon Moxley?
I'm gonna say Adam Cole because he went once.
Yeah, and he went and he went through the windshield, and that's what I appreciate. And as Grunchberg says, I shouldn't make Marcus late for his meeting, so I will wrap it up because Marcus, you do have something to rant about because I feel like you would disrespect the show if you don't rant about Cody Rhodes versus Mark Quinn like you did on the Marcus and Manny show. Marcus, what did you hate about Cody Rhodes and Mark Quinn?
I gotta find that special place, guys. This match deserves a special place in hell. And I can't take another Cody Rhodes match. In fact, if he main events next week, I'm just gonna turn off the TV. Because it's depending on who he wrestles, if it's someone I care about. But this match it was the stupidest match I've ever seen. Just stupid. So it starts off with them advertising that Quinn has his injured ankle. Fine, he's injured. And so Cody's working on the ankle. It's fine. Whatever. It starts off good. Next thing you know, Quinn is jumping off every single rope and corner there was possible. It was nonstop. It was as if someone had a controller or was playing Street Fighter and didn't actually know the buttons and they were just mashing and they were just doing shit. And that's what it seemed like Mark Quinn's offense was. I'm just going to button mash and do shit and hopefully the best case scenario. And for Cody to struggle with somebody that's just jumping on him, it's ridiculous. Nothing about this made sense, whether they're jumping on the outside, whether he's jumping on the inside, whether he's doing it. He was not really selling the ankle if you could jump this many times. Cody wins with a heel hook. They shake hands. And then AEW falls into a typical AEW ending in which we could have ended with a match. I mean, for a moment, I thought Cody was going to get his pyro because they like to end it that way, too. So we could have just ended with the match. But no, we don't end with a match. It ends with a damn pull apart, which AEW ends 90% of their shows with. It's always a pull apart. There was no reason for a pull apart. Jake Hager came out and I was like, oh, he's going to challenge Cody next week. No, he did not challenge Cody next week. He challenged for Fighter Fest, which means Cody doesn't have an opponent for next week, but he will have an opponent because it's an open challenge. But how could you set up an open challenge match or a match at Fighter Fest when you don't have a match if you don't win next week's match? This is outrageous. In fact, it is nutrageous. That's how stupid this was.
Not outrageous.
Marcus, with that passion, I give you your life back, man. That was passion right there, brother. I appreciate that.
You don't have his life to give him. I have it.
Manny, I'm the host of this show, so I give him this.
You currently don't have a life.
Doesn't matter.
You have a life. You lost your only, unless you had an extra life.
I had an extra life y'all didn't know about. Because that's what happens when you don't have a gimmick. You have multiple lives around. Manny, I'm going to turn to you. You've heard Marcus rant about this match twice now. Do you share the same sentiments that Marcus has?
Yeah, it was a pointless match. I don't think you make Cody look any stronger than he already was by elevating this title. Mark Quinn is a tag team wrestler, so that's it. Like all his offense was jump based and springboard based, where you would have thought if you had an injury, you would have adapted. And if you knew you were going into this match, you would have adapted your style to try and combat that. But no, nothing happened. And then, as Marcus already stated, and we've already stated earlier in the show, AEW don't sell. He didn't sell that injury. It was like, even when he was getting up after the match had ended, I watched him very closely to see if he sold that injury, and he didn't really do it as good as he did. And then even when he came out with the chair, I was just like, now he's no longer selling the injury again. It's like things like this really bother me, and it could be another reason why AEW is just an afterthought for me, rather after watching everything else in wrestling.
Now, a couple of questions for you, Manny. Grudge Smurf would like to know, how were those bootios?
It actually isn't a box of bootios. Inside, it's the figures of the New Day.
That's disturbing. Damn it.
Marcus,
I hope they taste like Cheerios.
Grunch Smurf also said that you preached on that subject, Marcus. I would agree, Marcus, because you know what? It's not often on this show that I agree with you, but I agree with you. But I need to make some other points about this match and what I found extremely frustrating. I thought logically this match made no sense. I felt like the ankle injury was just created and amplified for the simple reason to give Cody another way to win the match. Like, the thing about it, when you really think about the foundation of what this match, you ask, what was Matt Hardy? What was his purpose? If he was coaching up the Private Party, he should have said, hey, you got a bad ankle. You might not need to try to go out there and do all these flip dives and all that. Also, everyone else gets to be at ringside. Why did Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy decide that they're just going to go to the back? You should have went to ringside at that situation. It makes absolutely no sense. But then the real culprit in this whole travesty of a match, it's not Cody, it's not Mark Quinn, it's not Matt Hardy, it's not Isaiah Cassidy, it's the motherfucking doctor. If this man can barely walk to the ring, why is he getting into a match for a title shot? You could have gave that match to anybody in the back. Joey Janela could have had the match. He was healthy. He was so healthy, he left to go drink, and he found Sonny Kiss. I mean, you had Pineapple Pete in the audience. He could have took the loss against Cody. I mean, like, the whole thing about Cody defending his fucking title every week is ridiculous. And I'm a Cody fan. It makes no sense when you have people fighting for this title that don't deserve the title. When you have MJF in the fucking thing and he hasn't lost in 2020, he should be the first person that you fighting. It drives me crazy.
And he already beat Cody. He's already beat Cody.
Yes, like
MJF already beat Cody. Why is he not getting any respect here? And then you have Matt Hardy, that you brought up earlier, a white savior for the Black Lives Matter Mark Quinn. He was there to save them, and he didn't teach them anything.
Nothing.
He didn't do anything.
I think
you're right.
You also have Sammy Guevara could challenge for the titles. I mean, there's so many. If you're going to split up tag teams, hey, what about one of the Jacksons for the Young Bucks? I mean, they have a better win-loss record than them. Jimmy Havoc was available. So was super bad Kip Sabian. Like, sacrificing
Kenny Omega.
I mean, QT Marshall. Sacrificing Mark Quinn for a reason just makes absolutely no sense. And
can I jump in for a second for something that pissed me off? Oh, go ahead. Go with your
No, go ahead, Marcus.
Go.
I'm just the host here. Go ahead. You're the
Another thing that pissed me off was the QT Marshall Alley segment. There is no explanation why Allie isn't the buddy anymore. I don't care. Whatever. But she's clearly in a relationship with QT Marshall. And for Brandy sorry ass and Dustin old ass to be jumping in down this man's throat for having Allie as a girlfriend for no reason. They're like, oh man, what's she doing with a jacket? I gave her one. I paid for it my money. But you disgracing that back. Why? It's my girlfriend. Why can't she have a jacket? Cody's girl got a jacket. She don't even do nothing. And then Dustin's like, well, by next week when we get our random title match that we didn't earn whatsoever, I want her gone. You better be done with her until she go. It was the him healing shit. And I'd be like, man, I would knock your ass out. And Allie is my girlfriend. She's the love of my life. I keep watching with my hair, but I would knock you out.
That still doesn't make sense how they have a tag match. Where are they in these alleged invisible rankings they have?
As I remember, I thought the Dark Order was number 1 on the list, and Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, is that his name? Is he Stu or Dick? No, Dick Grayson is Robin.
No, it's Stu.
It's Stu Grayson.
Dick Grayson is...
Yeah. I wish Dick Grayson would show up. He would be so much better. It's like, Marcus... So you said that I didn't omit everything. I do omit stuff from AEW. You just brought stuff up that I omitted because you needed to talk about Allie and QT Marshall.
I have AEW PTSD, but for the fact I actually enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the show up until the end. Well, there was probably some middle parts.
No,
okay, show. But it drove me crazy.
Marcus, I will agree with you. I thought the show was better, well paced. I think that for me, unfortunately, the thing that is driving me crazy is Cody Rhodes and his vanity. Like, this is just getting ridiculous. It's like, this to me, it's even worse than Jeff Jarrett when he was. And because, like, first he came out to, like, this spectacular firework array of, like, this was not worth it. Like, fuck it. John Moxley never even made it inside the building. He got beat up on the outside. I just don't understand what's going on. I just don't. But I know Marcus has a meeting, and we need to get our emails out the way so we can conclude this show. So we will start off with an email that we received from a person who was participating in our chat a little bit earlier. That was Brother Chris. He says, let's get straight to it. Eric, I'd like to go to you for legal advice as you seem to be in that field in some capacity. Would it be legal to set up a $23,599 GoFundMe for Marcus to get Ric Flair's daughter pregnant? It is not illegal, but if Marcus took that money and tried to get Ric Flair's daughter pregnant, he may get charged with other crimes, and then we'd have to get a GoFundMe to get him out of jail. So I don't know if that's the best thing to do.
I would take the money. I would try to get her pregnant, but I can't do anything. I will keep the money. If it's not my decision if she decides to do an abortion, though. I'm pretty sure she'll do that. Like, my plan would be like, hey, what's up? I got the money. And then, I'll probably poke some holes into the condom. And then that'll be the move.
But would you fight Andrade to get to there? I mean, is it worth it?
I'll pay Andrade off to step aside. I give him 10 grand step off.
Oh, okay.
That would be where the money would go.
10 grand ain't enough for him to walk away, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
He makes more than 10 grand.
Shut up, Manny. All right? You're not his agent. You're not his manager. I'm giving him 10 grand, okay? I'm trying to make a profit out of this, okay?
Okay.
13 grand profit.
His email continues, factor in that he adores her. He's one of the few who can tolerate her talking. I'm assuming he's just tone deaf, but that's a discussion for another time. The money could go towards him having to get it in a physical altercation with what his face so that he can cover any injuries, possibly jail and bail time. And it needs to be lawyer fees. Not to mention a startup fund for diapers and formula for little Marcelina or Marcus is the second. Because good Lord, you wouldn't want your child sucking off those deformed tits of her. Man, this is just hate.
Man, this is hate. This is 100%. I'm sure it's going to be an abortion. We're not going to have Dyson fees.
The remainder can go to Marcus for food and games or a new pair of Mizunos. Marcus, give it some thought. You could be doing the women's division a solid. On top of that, you'll become my personal favorite Black California as you currently sit in 4th place. I'm like effing Magneto without the ugly costume for attracting dumb people. We had a power outage at my other job at Wells Fargo. By the way, 5 of you can go fuck yourself, but I won't name names just yet. The rest of you, I either haven't had enough interaction to form an opinion or we're cool from now. Now, then we had a power outage and it was going on hour 3. I was in the front lobby talking to the security guard about the possibility of the upcoming NFL season. This damn pretty girl, Karen, walks through and tells us she's going to go get a coffee. I said it's going to be cold. She looks puzzled and asks why. The power has been out for the good while now. She said, oh, then I'll just get a soda. You mean the ones in the vending machine that's run on electricity? Okay, I'm certainly like to see that. I watch her work down the hall because where she has a cute ass. No clue what the security guard was saying during that time. She came back a few minutes later informing us that she couldn't get a soda. Karen, please never lose your looks. Manny. I've heard you on the show for a long time now, and I envision you looking like a young Lord Alfred Hayes or a Spud. Well, that was proven wrong when I watched the podcast on YouTube this past week. You're more of a pale version of the grand finale. Nice. Looking forward to
he did actually call us the Giggling Twins to start the show last week.
Yeah, because Marcus replaced his from the first show with the giggles on the second show. I was like, you guys are giggling like a bunch of schoolgirls. But what can I say?
Yeah,
you guys look like you had a lot of fun. Looking forward to the new show with you and Marcus Flair. Hey, Eric, we need a cameo from the Sharpie wife. Why are you being so damn selfish? Oh, I almost forgot. The protest at my local mall couldn't have been more peaceful. I commend you all who attend, as it was also led by and done by Black youth. My precious PF Chang's was unharmed, and I will be going there soon to get my Mongolian beef, shrimp dumplings, chicken egg rolls, and an appetizer for my awesome grandmother. Until next time, I remain the man looking for a permanent solution to having my beard never grow again, because my girl don't like it, and I hate it when it grows and it starts itching. Then I gotta go buy shave gel, which isn't expensive or anything, but those damn razors are, and I'm not trying to cut myself while shaving, then have that annoying little drop of blood that you gotta stop. What? Yeah, bye guys. Man, you're shaving, Chris. It's a lot more difficult for you than it is for me, because I just use hair clippers.
I use a razor, and
I haven't actually shaved my beard for like 4 years. I just use a clipper.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Number one on mine.
Well,
what about the head?
Unfortunately, I can't
use a clipper on that as well.
I can't use a razor because I have very sensitive skin to razors, and I get very bad razor bumps, and it annoys me. Sad. And I can't grow a beard either. Our last email comes from the fantabulous Diz Man. If you see him at a party, better act like you know him. If you're sitting at a green light, don't stop. Time to go. If you got the pot, he's got the pan. It's the sharpiest of Sharpies, the Diz Man. What's really good, Sharpies? What's really good? To begin our time, I want to throw out a potential name for the new show with Lord Manny Hayes and Mr. The Grand Finale. What do you guys think of the Sharpshooters present The Clothesline? The DA tells the world it's part of the Sharpshooter brand. It's got a wrestling move in the name, like this show, and a clothesline. It's quick and impactful, which is what you said the new show would be. You can even make it The Clothesline with Marcus and Manny. So again, I ask, what do you think? So it made Marcus jump off the screen. Manny, as you hold up the Diz Man book in the promo, what do you think?
The fact that it says it's quick, we're not always quick.
That's what she said.
Clothesline in which it just keeps going on and on to knock out the same opponent. Just keep holding that wrist control. It's a good name. I think it's a solid name.
But it's not the one yet.
I don't know if it's the one. Okay. I need more suggestions.
Speaking of the Sharpie Radio Network, if you decide to do an interview show, Shooting with Eric has a nice ring to it. I would love to be your first guest. I know me and you can chop it up and have a great conversation. You know, whenever your book is ready to come out, man, I mean, not Manny, Diz Man, I'm ready to do that interview for you. Moving on, as you guys know, Samoa Joe is on commentary right now and is doing a really good job at it. I was wondering if anyone has heard if Mr. Samoa has quietly retired from the ring. The reason why I asked is because he was getting hurt a lot. Maybe they thought it would be best if he's just transitioned to a career commentator. I just feel like this is where he's best suited in WWE right now. I don't think hidden ring Samoa Joe, outside of getting hurt, could do anything else. Marcus, do you agree?
Well, unfortunately, I enjoy Samoa Joe in the ring, but he might be out due to his constant concussions that he keep getting. And I really like him on commentary, but I still would like him to be in the ring. I feel like he never got that proper push or, main roster maneuver. Or we know the word I'm trying to say. Like, he never transitioned to the main roster well. And I would like to still see him in the ring, but I think those days are numbered.
All right. Manny, what about yourself?
And Manny?
I really still want to see him in the ring. Like, I still want to see a proper ending to that Brock versus Samoa Joe. The build up to that match was amazing, and then it just it sidetracked off into Seth Rollins again. I think Samoa Joe still has something left in WWE, and I hope it ends with a commentary career, but I don't want to see him doing commentary right now. I think I want to see him back in the ring.
All right. And then Adrian says he also has a question for you, Lord Manny. Over in your part of the world, is there a wrestling company that you would recommend for us to look into? I enjoy watching wrestling no matter where it's from, and I always looking for a new wrestling to enjoy.
I a lot of the NXT UK talent they've taken came from Progress Wrestling. That's definitely worth a shot. Watch. I've watched a few live, and they're actually really good, like punk rock wrestling kind of vibe you get from it.
Okay. Marcus, do you have anything you recommend to watch overseas?
I recommend Progressive Wrestling. It's really good. I don't know. I feel like WWE swallowed up on UK wrestling when they went to NXT UK.
You know, Manny, that was actually an alley-oop for Marcus to say, well, if you want to watch something overseas, there is the Manny and Marcus show that take place on Tuesday and Thursday, because Manny is located in London and he's a wrestler. You know, I would have did that, but you got to promote your show.
No, and it didn't even work when you tried to do it there. This is why you're not a part of the Manny and Marcus show every Tuesday and Thursday live to get your recaps of Monday Night Raw and your recaps of AEW and NXT.
I just want to point out
every news story.
It's not like we didn't want Eric on the show. Eric has a job.
and also, Marcus, you act like you hold the power, Marcus. You know, the eCam subscription, you know who account is a link to? I can cancel the show like that. Just want to let you know.
Well, just like Ryan and the Twitter feed, just like Ryan's Twitter feed, I'm stealing your password.
I don't even know what that means. Speaking of wrestling, I may have asked you before, would you be so hard on AEW if the fans weren't so diehard about it? I mean, if people were like, yo, I just went to Amazon and picked up a copy of AWO Big Time Players Episode 1, The Beginning of Change, and I really enjoyed it. I know you're a wrestling fan. You may want to give it a read. Would you be as critical as opposed to if someone were like, yo, screw WWE. AWO is where it's at, son. I can't wait for AWO The Big Time Players Episode 2 continuing to grow, or something like that. Do you think the reason wrestling fans are so passionate about wrestling is because they want to feel like a part of something great? Personally, I think when some fans see something they like, they get excited and want to share it because it checks all the boxes. That may be why people get so defensive when people poo-poo on the thing that they get all excited over. What do you guys think? Finally, as I've done for the past 2 weeks, I've attached some more designs for the Sharpie shop at Redbubble. Let me know what you think. Anyway, Sharpie, I'm going to go, but you guys take care. Remember, sometimes you got to start over so that something better can be made. Later, guys. Signed, Adrian the Diz Man. And I think that's what they're doing with the Marcus and Manny show. They're trying to make something better without me, and I'm all for it. You know, we could all use a little bit more Marcus and Manny in our lives. So
you actually said that without any hate in your heart.
Yeah. Wow. The purity of that. What about all those questions he asked? Well, you remember all of them?
Yeah.
There was like 3 that you just glossed over. I was like, oh man, I gotta remember.
No, I was going to repeat that. He says, would you be so hard on AEW if the fans weren't so diehard, Marcus? Let me do my job. Just because you're learning how to host, I've been doing this for 695 episodes, man. This is not my first trip to the rodeo. Just let you know. Put some respect on my name.
If you went to the rodeo, they would have had you. They would have had you on the court and tying you up.
That's harsh, man. You can't do that.
I don't even know what animal you're trying to compare me to.
Well,
a horse.
Because the way that you act, you're just a fucking clown that pops up and gets beat up by the bull at the rodeo. Because you're a clown, Marcus. You're a joke.
I saved lives.
Answer the question, Marcus.
I have to get you back.
Answer the question.
I have to get you back for you talking about my dick wouldn't show on YouTube or banning.
You're the one that bringing your penis out. I don't care about that. Go ahead, Marcus. Answer the question.
Oh, about the AEW. Well, the AEW fan base is pretty annoying, but to me, and the war on wrestling fans for me has begun. All wrestling fans are becoming annoying to me. They don't know what they want. You get somebody they said, "Oh man, I hate Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is a terrible." Hold up. Monday Night Raw is a terrible show, right? And then Paul Heyman gets fired. Oh man, how did they fire Paul Heyman? I was really enjoying Monday Night Raw. It's the same person complaining. And the AEW fans fits in the category of they're just blind fans who cheer anything. Nothing can happen wrong in AEW. If something AEW does and WWE does, they say, oh man, WWE did that suck. You see the same thing happen to AEW. Oh man, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I can't believe anybody thought of that. It's outrageous. I can't stand the fans. They're worse than Laker fans.
So let me understand this correctly. the fans that watch your show, the Marcus and Manny show that take place on Tuesday and Thursday, you're sick of those fans and you hate wrestling fans and you want them to go someplace. I'm confused, man, because I love the fans. You know what? You could go to Tuesday and Thursday night where they may hate you, but if you take your talents to Saturday, Eric respects you. Come to Eric on Saturday. That's all I gotta say. Get my view count up on Saturday.
It's like you don't want us on the show anymore.
No, I just want it to be about me. I want to email myself, answer my own questions, and then move on. No, the wrestling fans I'm talking about are the smart wrestling fans. I'm sorry, the ones that so-called think they're in the know and think they know it all, or the anti-everything. The negative wrestling fan. I don't know what they're actually called. I don't have a term for them, so I just lumped them into regular wrestling fans.
Mark.
Okay?
So, Manny, do you agree with your co-host on the Manny and Marcus show?
I think as fans, we can be some of the awfulest people around, where we're never satisfied with what we want, and I think that is for the whole of wrestling, and then it's also like fans of Star Wars and everything. They are never satisfied with what is being brought out. So like, no, I think a lot of us have to realize that not everything's going to be perfect.
Well said, Manny. Well said.
Well said. Well said.
And you know, since we have fans who sat with us for this long 2-hour plus show, I will throw it to the chat room. Are there any questions anybody wants to ask in the quick fire of chat? You know, because they don't do that on the Marcus and Manny show on Tuesday and Thursday, but Eric does. I mean, I'm just saying.
You know good, You know, I'm gonna send your gift back to Amazon. It's here. I'm looking dead at it. I'm thinking about just throwing it into the street.
You know, I was actually contemplating hopping in my G ride and driving over and getting those sticks so I can play more games on my Nintendo Switch. I also thought about coming over to Marcus' house and watching Backlash. I mean, Wes said it's like when New Edition broke up, the dissension of this group. So if we were,
it's my prerogative, all right? I'm Bobby Brown.
So you want to be Bobby Brown, huh? You can have the drug problems.
You can be Bivens.
I'll be Michael Bivens. I'm okay with Michael Bivens.
Make all your money, but I'm gonna live the life.
Manny can be Johnny.
I'm coming with Houston, and everything's gonna be great.
So do we give Manny Johnny Gill or Ralph Tresvant?
He gotta be Johnny Gill because he's the late edition, right?
Oh, he is the late. He's Johnny Gill, and Ryan can be DeVoe because no one cares about DeVoe.
And I'm sure he did some Poison Girls.
Well, thanks for caring about me. I'm not in that category of no one cares about him.
So, Chris, the answer your question, the Sharpie wife probably won't be on until the pandemic is over, and she could probably do something with her hair. I don't think she wants to be put on the stream with her hair in the pandemic hair stage. So, you know, she can't take the clipper to her head and buzz it off. But maybe one day she will show up on the show.
Let me tell you, the pandemic is, you know, being a bald man in America, the pandemic has had no effect on my personal look.
No.
I will look like this either way.
Yes. Marks, you missed out on an excellent dinner that I think you would enjoy on Thursday. Shantae made a fish stew. It was like a gumbo. It was delicious. It was spicy too.
My Thursday dinner was half a Pop-Tart and a shot of Hennessy. That was Thursday dinner.
God. Chris said, I thought she was staying away from you.
No, she's just in the other room, respecting me with my space, you know, as I have this glowing light on my head.
All right, what else we got?
Because you got to go to your meeting, right, Marcus?
I got 12 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was going to be late.
I mean, I don't know if they have any other questions.
Now it's costing me money.
I feel like we need to get Chris on the line.
How will we get Chris on the line?
Chris, give us your Skype.
I don't know if Chris wants to be on the line, but he could be. But the box is not set for 4 people. I don't know what it will look. Oh, well, it is though.
You can do for 4 people.
Oh, Chris made Alfredo shrimp pasta.
You can just zoom out to make the other one smaller. You put this one up here, this one right there, maybe one in the middle.
Chris doesn't have Skype. No need to worry about it.
See, he's a smart man. He got enemies, a lot of enemies, trying to rob him of his energy. I think this was a fun show. I mean, but if you want to have fun with not a trios, like if you don't like a triple threat match, you can go to a one-on-one match where Marcus and Manny. I don't know why I keep calling Manny Ryan. I don't know why, because I haven't seen him in years. But Marcus and Manny, they do a show on Tuesday and Thursdays, if you guys may not have heard, where they cover either what took place on Monday Night Raw or what took place on AEW and NXT. If you guys
you might also see Eric in the chat moderating occasionally.
I would highly doubt that this week because shit supposed to get real this week at work, so I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I might be getting the 14-day quarantine when we start opening up and letting everybody back in the building. People going crazy.
I'm already feeling sick thinking about going back to work. Wednesday. What a waste of time. Huh? Yeah. It's going to be Wednesday because I work the other side of the week. Monday was the alleged reopen day, but I think they just changed it to Wednesday because I got a text about that in this group. Like, I think the official open day is going. So the official opening day will be the first day I go back, and it's going to be a nightmare.
Marcus, Chris says, and I posted in the chat because I changed the file. He says, "Thanks for taking the challenge, Marcus. What challenge did you take?" You don't know?
The Pepsi challenge?
I don't know either.
I honestly don't remember.
Okay. Tell him you're not going to work.
Oh, maybe.
And tell him Chris said so.
Oh, yeah. I think we have.
Not gonna work.
I think we have concluded this episode. I would like to thank Chris, El Luchador TV, Jonathan Washington, and Wes from B More. And I think it's one more person that I gotta figure out. Grunge Smurf for joining us in the chat room. You guys made it extremely, extremely fun participating. And Marcus, he's talking about the Flair challenge. I don't know if he's gonna take that challenge, Chris, but who knows?
It's done. I need to see the money.
But with that being said, check out the Marcus and Manny show on Tuesday and Thursday.
Manny and Marcus show. You see how little my ego is? That I put my name last.
It also plays into the fact that you're the grand finale.
Yeah,
I don't even call myself a grand finale on that show.
The fact that somebody's ego is out of control when they actually want to point out that their ego is not that big. So, I mean, it's just that. I mean, unfortunately, on Saturdays, we don't have the fancy go-home graphic where they'll ask the chat room a question and they won't answer the chat question. They just end this feed. We just have to look at us. But with that being said, I'm Eric.
I'm Lord Manny Hayes.
And I'm Marcus, the grand finale. And tune in every Tuesday and Thursday to watch the superior version of the Sharpshooters, where we have one-on-one conversations. And, this is the main show. This is still fun.
This is still the flagship, guys.
It's still the flagship.
Don't turn on the flagship.
The Manny and Marcus show can cancel any week now, considering that I may wake up one day after work or not from getting off of work and try to do the show, and I'll be like, Manny, just take the wheel. Just take the wheel.
I can't do a show by myself.
Some people do. Jim Rome does.
Every now and then.
Well, with that being said,
who mentions him anymore?
Because he signed that deal with CBS, so he's not in the mainstream. With that being said, everybody stay safe, stay sharp, and have a good time. See you guys next week. We out.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Now I got to talk.